Chapter 2193. These people were crazy. Those were supreme mighty figures. Moreover, 3 supreme mighty figures had attacked at the same time. How could Lin Xian resist them? However, the result was beyond their expectations. The 3 sky-covering hands were instantly torn into pieces. What kind of power could cause such a thing? How did that kid do it? Wasn't he just a 6-star king? Impossible. The Empress also exclaimed in shock, and her expression became extremely ugly. At the side, the Emperor's gaze was gloomy. He was also angry. However, he did not make a move. He had no choice. He was the ruler of a country, an invincible king. How could he make a move against a 6-star king? Even if he could capture the other party, he would become a laughingstock if word got out. The subordinates naturally knew that. Therefore, at this moment, the Empress's younger brother, General Xianying, stepped forward. He quickly said, "Your Majesty, let me lead the troops to capture this thief." "All right, support the original and kill the pirated version." The Emperor nodded slightly. General Xianying immediately turned around and soared into the sky. At the same time, more than 10 figures quickly soared into the sky from the palace in the distance. They left the palace and charged into the distance. The others quickly followed. To be honest, they also wanted to see what kind of means Lin Xian had used to cause such a terrifying attack. When they left the palace, they were stunned. There was a huge hole in the incomparably profound array in front of them. It had been blasted into pieces. Could it be that this was caused by that brat Lin Xian? That was too terrifying. How did he do it? Everyone gasped. The 3rd prince and the others quickly rushed over. They wanted to see how Lin Xian was doing. Actually, this was what had happened. Originally, Lin Xian wanted to break the array. However, after thinking about it, he reckoned that after the news was exposed, these people from the royal family would definitely go crazy and hunt him down. Therefore, he decided to use the black earth and break it open by force. Lin Xian went to the edge of the imperial palace and summoned the black earth. Then he used all the natural treasures he had, as well as those divine crystals, to launch the black earth's powerful attack. An earth-shattering beam of light blasted onto the mysterious formation, causing an earth-shattering explosion. The imperial palace's array was very strong. Even a peerless almighty couldn't open it. However, the might of the black earth was extremely terrifying. At this moment, Lin Xian didn't hesitate to use the natural treasures and divine crystals in his possession. That was why the resulting attacks were extremely terrifying, already exceeding those of peerless powerhouses. It directly blasted open the array formation in front of them. This scene caused an uproar in the entire imperial palace. Even the surrounding imperial palace warriors and guards were all stunned. They wanted to block it, but the shock waves from the explosion sent them flying. Lin Xian entered the black earth, passed through the shattered formation, and flew into the distance. However, this was the palace after all. Even though those guards were sent flying, the supreme almighties hidden within the palace soared into the air and chased after them rapidly. 5 to 6 almighties instantly flew out and crazily attacked the black earth. However, the result was beyond their expectations, because their attacks had no effect at all. There wasn't even a crack. The black earth was incomparably hard and shook off all the attacks. How was that possible? What kind of treasure was that? How could it be so terrifying? The peerless almighties behind were all stunned. Inside the black earth, Lin Xian snorted coldly and ignored them. He once again injected a large amount of energy and used many divine crystals as energy. Mysterious runes bloomed on the surface of the black earth. It tore through the void and then disappeared. Damn it! Seeing this scene, 5 to 6 peerless almighties roared crazily. They wanted to stop him, but they couldn't do so at all. Behind them, General Xianying led a group of people and happened to see the other party tear through the void and disappear. He stabbed out with his spear. The huge spear light turned into a golden dragon and rushed out. However, he still didn't stop the other party. Damn it! General Xian roared crazily. He didn't expect the other party to escape so easily. This made him extremely angry. Behind him, those who rushed over were also completely stunned. Lin Xian escaped from the imperial palace so easily? Why did it feel like a dream? So many peerless almighties couldn't stop him. What's going on? The crown prince walked out and asked coldly. His eyes were filled with monstrous anger. That kid has an incomparably mysterious spirit ship. Its attack power is very strong, and its defense is very strong. If he hides inside, we can't break it at all. Damn it, it's actually like this. The others' faces also darkened when they heard this. Uncle, what should we do? The crown prince looked at General Xianing. General Xianing frowned. I've never heard of such a treasure before. It must be of a very high grade. Moreover, to activate a spirit ship of this grade, it requires a lot of energy. I don't believe that kid can keep using it. I'll go back now and ask the emperor for an order to arrest him. Daring to kill the Golden Lion King is equivalent to declaring war on the war race. There will be no place for him in the Taiyi dynasty. Yes, that's right. Hearing this, the crown prince's eyes also bloomed with a vicious light. Although the brat had escaped now, there would be a day when he would be caught. As long as he is in the territory of our dynasty, he will definitely not be able to escape. In the next moment, the crown prince, a few supreme experts, and General Xianing hurried back to the Grand Imperial Hall to ask the emperor for an imperial edict. The others were in an uproar. They were all discussing Lin Xian and what happened before. On the other hand, the eighth prince's face was gloomy. Although Lin Xian was fine now, the eighth prince knew that this didn't mean that this matter was over. In fact, it was just the beginning. Sure enough, after returning, the emperor issued an imperial edict to arrest Lin Xian. The empress even brought out a phoenix edict, stating that the world would reward him. Not only that, she also offered a generous reward. Anyone who captured Lin Xian would be conferred the title of king with a different surname. When the phoenix edict came out, the world was shocked. A king with a different surname was equivalent to a king of the Taiyi dynasty. The temptation was too great because there were currently 27 kings in the Taiyi dynasty. Among them, there were only 3 kings with different surnames. Moreover, 3 of them were kings with different surnames that had been decided 2,000 years ago. In the past 1,000 years, no one had been conferred the title of king with a different surname. Those who were conferred the title of king with a different surname would receive monstrous power, large areas of land, endless natural treasures, and endless cultivation resources. It could be said that they had reached the sky in a single step. Therefore, when the imperial edict came out, all the experts in the Taiyi dynasty were excited. They searched everywhere crazily, trying to capture Lin Xian. Not only that, the empress and the crown prince had also gathered a group of experts to search for him. They also contacted the kings who were stationed in various places, preparing to join forces. While the crown prince was working hard, the eighth prince also started to move. Chapter 2194. Relying on his newly promoted status as the crown prince, he had also gathered many elders and princes. However, he was still a crown prince to be. Compared to the first prince and the empress, he was still a far cry from them. Therefore, he had only gathered a small number of princes and elders. Even so, it was enough to alleviate the danger that Lin Xian was in. As for the other princes, they were divided into 2 groups. Some supported the eighth prince, and some supported the crown prince. Of course, there were also those who chose to remain neutral. After all, it was not good to offend either of them. The third prince stood firmly on the crown prince's side. After all, he hated Lin Xian to the core. Of course, he hoped that Lin Xian would be killed. Moreover, he knew that Lin Xian would definitely die, because the crown prince had not only gathered a large number of experts, but also princes. The empress had also sent someone to deliver a message to the war race. When the people of the war race learned of the Golden Lion King's death, they would definitely explode with rage. As long as the war race was angry, not to mention the kid, even the peerless powerhouses would be killed. On the other side, Lin Xian boarded the Black Earth and left the palace completely. After he confirmed that it was safe, he immediately left the Black Earth and put it away. After all, the Black Earth's level was too high. Activating it once consumed too much energy. Even he did not dare to use it for a long time. It was better to use it as a life-saving measure. He still used an ordinary spirit boat to fly. "Kid, what should we do now?" the Crimson Dragon asked. Lin Xian thought for a while and decided to leave the Tai dynasty first. After all, the commotion this time was too big. Lin Xian decided to find a city and buy a map. He asked for the location. He made a plan to leave. After flying for so long, he was surrounded by barren mountains. He did not know where to fly to leave the Tai dynasty. After confirming a direction, Lin Xian flew quickly. Half a day later, a city wall appeared in his vision. It was a huge city. It was incomparably bright. Looking from below, it looked like a giant beast entrenched on the ground. "Let's go down and take a look." When Lin Xian saw the giant city, his figure flickered and he descended. When they got closer, they realized that this huge city was really too majestic. The roads inside were like huge dragons, and the tall city towers were like immortal palaces. The atmosphere was majestic. The city walls below were all protected by formations. Mysterious runes flickered on the walls, emitting a unique aura. It was impossible to land directly inside the city walls. Therefore, Lin Xian landed outside the city walls. In front of the city gate, there were groups of guards. There were more than 30 people in total. They held long spears in their hands and wore battle armor that flickered with a cold metallic luster. They guarded the two sides of the city gate. At the entrance, there was an endless stream of people coming in and out. These people were not ordinary people. They were all martial artists. Many of them even had powerful auras. It was obvious that they were experts. Lin Xian landed below. When he was flying, he had already changed his appearance. At this moment, he changed his appearance in order to avoid being noticed by others. Sure enough, after he came down, many people looked in his direction, but soon it moved away. Seeing the scene, Lin Xian was slightly relieved. It seemed that these people did not notice him. Moreover, he did not know if the Supreme First Dynasty had issued a warrant for him. But thinking about it, they would definitely not let him go. Therefore, he had better be careful. In the next moment, Lin Xian withdrew his thoughts and walked forward. The moment he entered the city, one of the middle-aged guards with a full beard suddenly felt his heart tremble. There was a look of shock in his eyes. He opened his mouth and spat out a green iron token. The iron token on the token shone brightly and trembled rapidly. Seeing this scene, the middle-aged man was extremely shocked and his pupils suddenly dilated. He hurriedly said, Go and inform the governor that the person we are looking for is here." Whoosh, whoosh. In front of him, the two guards turned into two streaks of lightning, rushed into the city and disappeared. Lin Xian entered the city and walked on the wide street. Looking at the passers-by and martial artists on both sides, his eyes flickered. He was looking for a shop to buy a map to identify the direction. Buzz! The original version will win, the pirated version will die. In a corner, an old man in patched clothes with a broken bowl in front of him suddenly opened his eyes. His hair was messy and his face was ashen, but at this moment his eyes were extremely sharp. There was a jade pendant on his body that was shining brightly. Runes flashed on it. "It's here," the old man whispered, his eyes shining with a sharp light. In the next moment, her figure flickered and disappeared. At the same time, a middle-aged man in white was sitting cross-legged on the platform of a high-speed railway. He was waving a feather fan, and there was a golden bell in front of it. At this moment, the golden bell shone brightly and made a tinkling sound. "It's here," The middle-aged man in white put down the fan in his hand and looked at the golden bell in front of him. His eyes flickered. In the next moment, he waved his hand and a palm-sized rune appeared in his hand. He bit his finger and wrote a few lines of words on it with his blood. At the same time, a formation was formed in front of him and it was shining brightly. The middle-aged man in white placed the rune on top of the formation. As the light flickered, the rune disappeared. One after another, orders were quickly passed down in the dark. Obviously, because of Lin Xian's arrival, the entire city was in turmoil. Lin Xian did not know about these things. At this moment, he came to a hall called the 1,000 Treasure Tower, bought a map, and asked some questions about the geography. Lin Xian learned that this city was called Flame City. The place he was in was considered the center of the Tang dynasty. It would take a long time to leave the territory of the Tang dynasty. It seemed that he had to use a teleportation formation. Lin Xian asked where the super teleportation formation was. In the end, he learned that only the 12 main cities had super teleportation formations. Although Flame City was huge, it was not one of the 12. Of course, there were also super teleportation formations in the mansions of the princes. However, those places were more dangerous, so Lin Xian would not go there. The 12 main cities. Lin Xian nodded. It seemed that he had to find a way to go to the 12 main cities and use the super teleportation formation to leave the Tang dynasty. Although it was just a dynasty, its territory was frighteningly huge. It would take Lin Xian a few years to fly away. Thinking of this, Lin Xian walked out. As soon as he stepped out of the 1,000 Treasure Tower, he was surrounded by a group of guards. There were about 20 of them, each with a cold expression. They held long spears in their hands and surrounded Lin Xian tightly. Seeing this, Lin Xian frowned. Could it be that he was exposed? In front, a young man in green armor stood out, looked at Lin Xian and nodded. That's right, it was him. Take him away. As soon as he said that, 4 guards in black armor stepped forward, and a violent aura surged from their bodies. They reached out and grabbed Lin Xian. Chapter 2195. Scram! Lin Xian's face darkened as he roared. A majestic aura rushed out of his body and forced the 4 guards back. Puff! The 4 guards spat out mouthfuls of blood, their faces filled with fear. The young man's face darkened. He pulled out the sword at his waist and shouted coldly, "Attack!" Instantly, more than 20 guards attacked at the same time. The void in front of them exploded. Scram! Lin Xian roared furiously. His voice was like a clap of thunder that descended from the sky, causing the entire void to shake rapidly. Buzz! 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 The void split open, and the dozen guards that rushed over were sent flying. Their faces were pale, and their brains were in turmoil. Boom! 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 They all fell to the ground, screaming nonstop. The surrounding passers-by were all stunned. Heavens, who is this kid? He's too terrifying. With a roar, he actually forced more than 20 black armored guards back. These black armored guards were all elite kings. When they attacked together, they could fight against an almighty. But now they were sent flying by a sound wave. Everyone was stunned. The young man's face was also extremely pale. The clap of thunder just now had a terrifying impact on him, causing his blood and qi to tremble. However, he quickly circulated his cultivation technique to suppress his churning blood and qi. At the same time, he clenched the sword in his hand and was about to attack Lin Xian. However, in the next moment, when he saw Lin Xian's cold and murderous gaze, his body fell to the ground and began to tremble. Who is this? How dare you cause trouble in Flame City? Are you tired of living? In the distance, the ground trembled as more black armored guards rushed over. Among them, there were a few who were riding on terrifying demon kings and rushing over. Among them, there were 2 who were extremely terrifying. One was riding a 3-headed demon wolf, while the other was riding a purple lion. The lion had a pair of wings on its back, and its body emitted a monstrous demon chi. Behind them, each of them led a group of 50 black armored guards. They quickly rushed over and surrounded the area. "Kid, how dare you cause trouble in Flame City in broad daylight and injure the black armored guards? Come back with us obediently." A middle-aged man with cold eyes sat on the back of the three-headed wolf. He stared at Lin Xian and said coldly. In addition, a bald man was sitting cross-legged on top of the purple lion. He held a long saber in his hand and pointed it downward. Seeing the scene, everyone in the distance felt their scalps go numb. They quickly retreated and widened the distance between them. That was because they recognized the two of them. One of them was the bald Golden Blade King, and the other was Violent Hand King. Both of them were powerful experts and held high positions in the black armored army. It could be said that his strength was extremely terrifying. Who would have thought that the two of them would actually make a move together? Just who was this young man in front of him? Lin Xian looked at the two of them and snorted coldly. "What did I do to deserve your arrest? Right now, I'm just defending myself. I'll give you a chance to disappear from my sight. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." "Impolite? Why aren't you being polite?" In the sky, the purple lion spread its wings and flapped them continuously, emitting gusts of demonic wind. The bald man on its back, the Golden Blade King, widened his eyes and let out a cold smirk. "Kid, go to hell." In the next moment, his figure flashed and disappeared from the sky. He instantly appeared in front of Lin Xian. The golden treasured saber in his hand slashed down forcefully. This golden saber light was like a bolt of lightning, bringing along a wave of pressure as it slashed down from the sky. It was as if an immemorial demonic beast was going to devour Lin Xian. "Humph, that kid is dead meat. That was for sure." The Golden Blade King's saber technique was absolutely terrifying. Around them, the black armored army sneered. Lin Xian's lips curled into a sneer as he looked at the golden blade light that was sweeping down from the sky. In the next moment, he stretched out his right hand and grabbed the air lightly. What? He actually wanted to fight with his bare hands and not dodge. He was really looking for death. Idiot, water must have entered his head. Seeing the scene, these people were even more puzzled. "Humph," the Golden Blade King sneered. The other party actually dared to be so arrogant. He was really looking for death. One must know that even a powerful expert of the same level would not dare to fight with his golden saber barehanded. Boom! Support the original version. Pirates must die. Lin Xian's palm slapped on the golden saber, creating an intense collision, as if thousands of horses were neighing. With an earth-shattering sound, the void exploded, and the golden saber light that filled the sky was shattered. The Golden Blade King's chest caved in, and he was sent flying. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood and sent more than 10 black armored army flying. What? The Golden Blade King was injured. Everyone was stunned. The black armored army's eyelids were twitching, and those who were watching from afar were also extremely shocked. They looked at Lin Xian, and their eyes were filled with fear. Who exactly was this kid? How could he be so strong? He actually sent the Golden Blade King flying with one move. Could it be that this kid was also a powerful expert? Thinking of this, they gasped. They had never seen such a young, powerful expert before. Moreover, that was not right. According to the information, he was only a 6-star king. On the other side, the middle-aged man sitting on the 3-headed wolf, the Violent Hand King, also had a change in expression. He sneered. "Kid, you're looking for death." In the next moment, he stretched out his palm, and a fiery red big hand came grabbing at him from all directions. Buzz! Seeing the other party making another move, Lin Xian pointed out his finger. On the tip of his finger, a dazzling sword light surged out. Rumble! The whole sky was trembling. Although it was only a sword light, it was enough to crush the heavens. This sword chi was simply too terrifying. As soon as this sword chi appeared, everyone began to tremble. The Violent Hand King's expression also changed. He did not expect the other party's sword chi to be so powerful. This aura was enough to threaten his life. Therefore, in the next moment, he wanted to escape. However, the sword chi had already enveloped him. Pum! Ah! With a scream, one of his arms was chopped off and blood flowed out crazily. The Violent Hand King frantically retreated, his face pale. Kill! Kill him for me! Set up the black armored sky, splitting array. I want him dead. The Violent Hand King roared crazily. He quickly stopped his injuries and commanded the black armored army to form a terrifying killing array. Although these black armored army were not almighty experts, they had mastered a terrifying array. At this moment, 100 black armored army quickly formed the array. Even an almighty expert could not contend against it. Black armored sky splitting array. The 100 black armored army quickly formed the array. The sky was filled with light, and a terrifying aura was emitted from the array. It enveloped the whole space. In the distance, everyone's expression changed. They frantically retreated, not daring to get close. This array was too terrifying. The terrifying aura was like the awakening of a peerless demonic beast. Pum! In the next moment, these people attacked together. The aura in the sky, together with the array, formed a black rock and rushed out quickly. That black rock slowly covered the sky, and its body emitted a monstrous aura. It charged toward Lin Xian. At the same time, the Hunter King and Golden Blade King also cooperated with the black rock and quickly attacked. The two of them, one in front and one behind, charged toward Lin Xian's vital points, looking for recommendations, monthly votes, subscriptions, collections, gifts. Chapter 2196. At the same time, Hunter King and Golden Blade King also cooperated with the Black Rock and quickly attacked. The two of them attacked Lin Xian's vital parts, one after another. 1. Blazing Palm. Sky Splitting Golden Blade. The two of them roared and used their ultimate moves. A terrifying flaming palm and a terrifying golden blade. Light flew out quickly. You don't know what's good for you. Facing the terrifying formation and the attacks of the two almighties, Lin Xian snorted coldly. In the next moment, he pulled out a broken sword. The broken sword was very ancient, and there were sword patterns all over it. One look, and you could tell it was not an ordinary item. It was Lin Xian's heaven-ranked ancient sword. In the next moment, the ancient sword swung out a terrifying sword light, tearing the heaven and earth apart. Pung pung pung. Intense explosions sounded in the sky. Mushroom clouds rose one after another. The light was as dazzling as fireworks. The black rock formed by 100 black armored army was split in half by the sword. But even so, Hunter King's other arm was also cut off. Blood gushed out, and it could not heal at all. Golden Blade King was even worse. When the golden blade in his hand touched the ancient sword, it broke with a clang. Damn it, how is this possible? Golden Blade King's pupils shrank. His golden blade was an earth-rank upper artifact. It was extremely terrifying. Even the Almighties could not break it. How could the other party break it so easily? He did not dare to imagine. But in the next moment he screamed in horror, because the sword chi had split him in half from the middle. As the sword descended, Lin Xian withdrew his ancient sword. As for the 100 black armored soldiers, they vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Golden Blade King and Hunter King. One was dead and the other was crippled. Blood flowed and dyed the surroundings red. Impossible. This is impossible. Damn it, how can you be so strong? Hunter King trembled. His eyes were filled with fear. The 100 black armored army kept retreating. Their faces were in a mess. In the distance, the crowd was even more shocked. God, who is this kid? How could he destroy such a powerful team so easily? Ruthless. This is definitely a ruthless person. Everyone was terrified and retreated frantically. Humph! How dare you kill my black armored army? You're dead. Right at this moment, a cold voice came from afar, rolling over like thunder. Immediately after, the earth trembled as more and more black armored army gathered in this direction like a black tide. Light flickered in the sky as countless experts appeared. Those people who originally wanted to watch felt their heads explode. Such a terrifying formation, just to catch a young man? Who was this person? They did not dare to imagine. However, they knew that they couldn't stay here any longer, so they quickly ran away. They all hid at a distance that they thought was safe and watched carefully. This time, there were even more black armored soldiers. They were densely packed, numbering in the thousands. In the sky, several frightening old men appeared. Their auras were thick and heavy. They were like deities that looked down on the common people. Brat, you won't be able to escape. Come back with me obediently. Humph! What you have done is enough to make you have no place in the Tai dynasty. Lin Xian's face darkened when he saw this. If they were dealing with ordinary people, it would be impossible for them to deploy such a terrifying formation. From the looks of it, the other party should know his identity. So you know who I am? Lin Xian looked up at the sky and said indifferently, "From the moment you came in, we knew. Don't think that you can hide your appearance and aura. You can avoid our pursuit." In the sky, an old man coldly snorted. So that's how it is. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It seemed that the first prince had used a lot of power in order to catch him. He thought that he had hidden very well, but he did not expect to be recognized so quickly. Since it was like this, he did not intend to hide anymore. Lin Xian's face changed, and he returned to his original appearance. "Capture him for me. Kill. Support the original version. Pirates must die." There was an angry roar in the sky, and the 500 black armored soldiers on the ground formed a formation again. This time, the formation was more terrifying than before. It was even more monstrous. The biting, cold, murderous aura directly pierced through the void, and nothing could stop it. 10,000 killing formation. As soon as this formation was formed, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The surrounding palaces and pavilions were completely destroyed. Everyone retreated far away, and there was only Lin Xian and the black armored soldiers in the sky in front of them. Kill! There was another angry roar, and the murderous aura was like thunder, rapidly attacking the void. They formed 100,000 murderous auras in the sky and charged towards Lin Xian. It's over. That brat is definitely dead. This 10,000 murderous aura was really terrifying. Even an almighty could not contend against it. That's right. There were so many experts from the city, Lord Mansion in the sky. This brat could not escape. In the distance, the surrounding warriors were discussing softly. In front, Lin Xian snorted coldly. His eyes turned cold, and his body emitted a terrifying sword intent. Since the other party had recognized him, there was nothing to say. Since they dared to chase after him, he would have to pay the price. Buzz! Lin Xian took a step forward. Suddenly, the aura on his body exploded, and the entire void shattered. A terrifying sword wave spread out in all directions. Boom, boom, boom. The sword wave spread in the sky and soon collided with 100,000 murderous auras. Suddenly, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The surrounding buildings were directly destroyed. What? He actually resisted the 100,000 murderous auras? How was that possible? In the distance, everyone was shocked. The experts in the sky furrowed their brows. However, at this moment, there was another change below. Lin Xian's body was filled with sword aura again, and he slashed forward. Suddenly, the killing array formed by the 500 black armored army cracked, and it was about to break at any time. Damn it! I'll kill him! Seeing that the situation was not good, a man in black armor in the sky had a cold expression. He held a black spear in his hand and quickly charged down. The old man in black looked down and said in a deep voice, "The two of you go down too. At the same time, activate 2 more killing arrays. With 3 killing arrays together, I don't believe that we can't kill this brat." "Yes," a man and a woman beside him responded. Both of them looked middle-aged. The man held a thunder hammer in his hand, and the woman held 2 swords. The 2 of them were also wearing armor. One was wearing silver armor, while the other was wearing fiery red armor. After the 2 of them went down, they formed 2 more killing arrays. Each killing array was formed by 500 black armored army soldiers. The Thunder God array and the Flame Proof array. Heavens, there were 2 more killing arrays. The people in the distance went crazy. They estimated that no one could escape from such an array. The 3 killing arrays quickly rushed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered. Comparing arrays? In the next moment, he stamped his foot, and the demon-breaking sword array appeared on the ground. Countless blood-red sword runes circled around, and then ancient phantoms rushed out. Boom! The black ancient phantoms directly soared into the sky. Boom! The 2 collided, and the 500 black armored army soldiers immediately vomited blood. "Damn it! Block for me!" In the 10,000 killing array, the man in black armor roared. His spear stabbed out like a dragon. With 100,000 murderous auras, it stabbed towards Lin Xian. Chapter 2197. It was useless. Lin Xian waved the ancient dragon abyss sword again, shattering the terrifying spear light in front of him. Not only that, but the black spear in the black armor man's hand was also split in half. Damn it! The black armored man's face was abnormally gloomy. His treasure weapon was actually shattered. What kind of weapon was in his opponent's hand? How could it be so sharp? When the other 2 killing formations saw this, they quickly rushed over as well. Thunder God kill. The man's hammers vibrated, and suddenly silver lightning appeared in the void and quickly descended. Under the support of the formation, a terrifying sea of lightning was formed, swallowing the world. On the other side, the fire formation released a sky full of 5-colored flames, burning fiercely. The 2 forces of the sea of lightning and fire quickly enveloped Lin Xian, but in the next moment it was split in half by 2 sword chi. Puff! The man and woman were struck until they cried and vomited blood. Their armor was shattered, and the weapons in their hands were broken into several pieces. Broken again. The 3 killing formations were also easily broken. Everyone was stupefied. They had never seen or even heard of such a scene before. Buzz! Buzz! Lin Xian stretched out his hand, and 3 true dragons flew out, sucking the 3 almighties over. The 3 almighties struggled frantically, but they were all formed by sword chi and contained the power of the great dragon's sword soul. How could the 3 of them break free? The current Lin Xian was a true almighty. His strength was absolutely terrifying, reaching the level of a peerless almighty. These people were no match for him. "Kid, you dare to kill me? You're dead!" The black-armored man roared crazily. He had never been treated like this. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and with a slap, the black-armored man knelt on the ground, his legs broken. "Ah, damn it! Kill me if you have the guts!" The black-armored man roared crazily. "Kill you? Do you think I don't dare?" Lin Xian sneered and exerted force with his palm. Instantly, the black-armored man's armor was completely shattered, and his body turned into a bloody mist. What? He really killed him. Everyone was shocked, and the man and woman beside him were terrified. "Spare us! Please, I beg you, spare us!" The 2 of them started to beg for mercy. They didn't dare to be stubborn anymore. Otherwise, their end would be very miserable. "Spare you? How could this be?" Su Qin sneered. "From the moment you decided to kill me, your fates were already decided. You chose to end up like this. You can't blame me. Lin Xian swung the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand. Puff! 2 heads flew into the sky. Plop! Plop! Another 2 mighty figures' bodies fell to the ground. Lin Xian's ancient sword was dripping with blood. He raised his head and looked at the sky. Go back and tell the first prince that this is not enough for me to kill. Brat, you're too arrogant. You actually dare to contend against a big lunatic. Is that something you can contend against? There were still 2 old men left in the sky. Their faces were gloomy. The other party was actually so powerful that he could cripple so many of their experts with just a few strikes. This really shocked them to the core. As expected, you are the first prince's dogs. Lin Xian sneered. He raised his palm and slapped towards the sky. 2 large green palms appeared and slapped towards the 2 old men in the sky. Bang, bang. The 2 of them resisted, but it was useless. Their armors and defenses were all smashed to pieces. The 2 of them spat out large mouthfuls of blood and were sent flying. Damn it! How could he be so powerful? The 2 old men's scalps went numb because they realized that they were no match for the other party at all. Run! Support the original version. Pirates will die. The 2 of them were terrified and turned to flee. They didn't want any harsh words or orders. Survival was the most important thing. They fled into the distance, like crazy. Wanna run? Can you run? Lin Xian sneered. He stepped into the air and chased after them. However, he didn't make a move because he wanted to see where the 2 of them were going to escape to. He knew that these people weren't the final decision makers. There must be some core subordinates of the first prince in Flame City. In front of him, the 2 of them quickly fled, turning into streams of light and running towards the city lord's residence. Then, the 2 of them landed in the city lord's residence. City lord's residence? When Lin Xian saw this scene, he narrowed his eyes. It seemed that the city lord had given the order to capture him. Since that was the case, there was no need for the city lord's residence to exist. Seeing that the other party had chased after them, the 2 old men below felt their scalps go numb. They roared crazily, "Quick attack! Catch that kid! He's the one we're looking for!" Below, countless figures flashed and rays of light lit up. Several large arrays appeared in the city lord's residence, covering the sky and the sun. Countless rays of light soared into the sky and attacked Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian waved the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand and used the chaotic heaven destroyer sword. A sharp chaotic sword chi rushed out, turning into a silver river in the sky and rolling down. Boom, boom, boom. The rays of light below were all shattered. The arrays were split into pieces, and the cultivators inside were directly kicked into a bloody mist. They exploded in the air. Not only that, the city walls, palaces, and pavilions below were all shattered. Nothing was intact. The ground cracked, and terrifying cracks spread in all directions. That was too powerful. He actually destroyed the city lord's residence. Behind him, many people followed from afar. When they saw Lin Xian split the city lord's mansion in half with a single strike, everyone was stunned. Their faces were filled with shock. In the city lord's residence, the 2 old men were even more dumbstruck. Their bodies had suffered a terrifying impact, but they could no longer feel the pain. That was because their souls had been attacked, and their faces were full of shock. Who was that person? Run, run quickly. The 2 of them ignored everything and wanted to escape into the depths of the city lord's residence. However, Lin Xian flicked out 2 rays of sword chi from his fingers and pierced through the bodies of the 2 old men. In the next moment, he took a step forward and descended. Below, the city lord's residence was shattered and countless figures flashed. They surrounded Lin Xian. Among them, someone shouted coldly, "Damn it, who is that? How dare you cause trouble in the city lord's residence?" However, when they saw Lin Xian, they were all shocked. It was him. It was actually him. Kid, you actually took the initiative to come to us, so don't blame us. Men, capture him and send him to the Crown Prince. Send him to the Crown Prince? I'll send you to hell first. Lin Xian waved the ancient sword in his hand quickly, and a terrifying sword chi tore through the void. Immediately, screams sounded one after another. Those cultivators in front of him could not resist at all and were directly split open. In an instant, more than 10 figures fell. There were even 5 mighty figures among them. This scene directly provoked everyone in the surroundings. They screamed crazily, "Run, run quickly!" At this moment, they finally knew that the young man in front of them was absolutely terrifying. He was not someone they could contend against at all. "Kid, you're courting death." In the sky, 3 figures descended, accompanied by a terrifying aura. They were 3 elite, mighty figures. At this moment, their faces were extremely gloomy as they stared at Lin Xian. Chapter 2198. Kid, you're too presumptuous. Do you really think that there's no one in the city, Lord's mansion? Kneel down and come back with us. Otherwise, we'll make you wish you were dead. He crippled his own arms and knelt on the ground to await his punishment. The 3 elite mighty figures had cold expressions, and their bodies emitted terrifying auras. It was as if mountains were pressing down on the void, making it difficult for people to breathe. In the city lord's mansion, the other martial artists who were running away also stopped in their tracks. They turned around and revealed ferocious expressions again. "Ha ha ha ha! Our elite mighty figures are here. Our elders are here. Kid, don't be so arrogant. You're going to kill us. Watch how our elders kill you." They laughed maniacally because these 3 elders were elite mighty figures with terrifying strength. Moreover, they had many secret techniques and treasures in their hands. It would be a piece of cake for them to kill the kid in front of them. "Elite mighty figures, how dare you show off in front of me?" Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. One had to know that he could kill elite mighty figures before he broke through. Now that he had become a true mighty figure, his strength had increased exponentially. Elite mighty figures were nothing in front of him. "You're courting death." The 3 elites were furious. They knew that the kid in front of them had offended a master, and they had information about him. However, they had never seen Lin Xian's power with their own eyes. In their opinion, no matter how heaven-defying a 6-star king was, how powerful could he be? They had no idea that Lin Xian had successfully broken through, and they had never seen Lin Xian's power before. Therefore, they were obviously courting death. "I'll kill him." A tall old man walked out. At that moment, an elder with a walking stick said, "There's no need. Let me do it. Let me do it." The 3rd elder stood out with a sharp gaze. The 3 of them fought with each other, wanting to capture Lin Xian. That was because the higher-ups had ordered that whoever captured Lin Xian and handed him over to the first prince would be conferred the title of king. How could they possibly give up such a huge temptation to someone else? The 3 elite almighties were fighting with each other, completely disregarding Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered when he saw this scene. This was the first time he had seen people rushing to their deaths. Thinking of this, he stretched out his finger and pointed at the tall old man and said, "All right, there's no need to fight. You'll do." Seeing this scene, the tall old man laughed. He looked at the old man beside him. "Did you see that? That brat personally chose him. The 2 of you have nothing to say, right?" Then the tall old man looked at Lin Xian again with a sinister smile on his face. "Brat, I have to say that you have good taste. You actually chose me. Don't worry. Since you chose me, I'll give you a quick death." "Is that so? Thank you very much. Hurry up and do it." Lin Xian waved his hand as if he didn't care. This attitude stunned the tall old man, and his face immediately darkened. What did the other party mean? Did he not care about him at all? He was really courting death. He was an elite almighty, and his strength was far from what those ordinary almighties could compare to. Brat, don't think that you can be arrogant just because you killed a few ordinary almighties. You don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. In the next moment, the tall old man made his move. He grabbed out with his palm. It was very simple and crude, but it had an unparalleled pressure. His strength was indeed beyond that of ordinary almighties. In an instant, his palm flew out like a mountain and enveloped Lin Xian. Elite almighty? That's all there is to it. You're still nothing in front of me. Lin Xian waved his palm, and a bright light shot out. Clang! Support the original version. Pirates must die. The light shone and blasted on the large palm, immediately producing a clang. Meanwhile, the tall old man's expression changed, and a sinister look appeared in his eyes. His palm was directly broken. Ah, damn it, how dare you hurt me? The tall old man retracted his palm, and his expression was extremely ugly. The two people at the side discussed, and then sneered. No way, old Bai, how can you be injured? Can you do it? If you can't, let the two of us do it. The two elite almighties at the side sneered. In their opinion, it was really embarrassing that they couldn't even deal with a brat. The tall old man snorted. What do you know? I was just careless just now. As he spoke, he activated his mystic technique. Instantly, his arm made cracking sounds as the broken bones were connected. In the next moment, his eyes were cold as he stared at Lin Xian. Brat, you've completely angered me. I originally wanted to give you a quick death, but now I've changed my mind. I'll let you have a taste of living a life worse than death. Thousand hands, demonic palm. The tall old man waved his palm, and a dark light flashed in the sky. Numerous palms appeared in the void, densely packed, and there were at least 1,000 of them. It was as if a mountain range was pressing down. Each of them was incomparably terrifying, and they could shatter heaven and earth. At this moment, thousands of palms appeared together, and it was really terrifying to the extreme. Burning sky-scorching Sunday, Lin Xian activated the great dragon sword soul and simulated the Golden Lion King's ultimate move. Black hellfire spread and covered his fist. Then he punched out with his fist. In the sky, the shadows of the fists turned into black suns and soared into the sky. Boom! 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 These black suns were incomparably violent, and they brought along heat that filled the sky as they collided with the thousands of palm shadows. Boom! Countless palm shadows were ignited and burned fiercely. In an instant, a sea of black flames appeared in the sky and enveloped the tall old man. Whoosh! Whoosh! Damn it! The tall old man's expression changed. All of his attacks were ignited. Not only that, the black flames followed his attacks and spread towards him. Even the clothes on his body were set on fire. Playing with fire? Suppress! The tall old man snorted and spat out a blue ice ball from his mouth. Instantly, the sky was covered with frost, and he wanted to extinguish the terrifying flames. Snow Soul Pearl, this old man actually used this magical treasure. At the back, the two elite almighties nodded continuously. They didn't expect this tall old man to be really angry. Lin Xian sneered in disdain. He clenched his fist again and punched out. The black flames in the sky condensed and formed a real dragon. It roared in the sky and shattered the Snow Soul Pearl. Boom! With a collision, the Snow Soul Pearl shattered into pieces and fell to the ground. The old man's face turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it, impossible! How is this possible? He's so powerful. Fear appeared in the old man's eyes. However, in the next moment he froze, because a sword light flashed, and he instantly lost consciousness. At the back, the two elite almighties were stunned. In the distance, the martial artists who hadn't escaped were also terrified, because they realized that the tall old man's head flew up and his headless corpse fell down. He was killed. How is this possible? How is it possible that he was killed? Everyone went crazy, and the two elite almighties were even more shocked. They didn't see how the other party attacked. Chapter 2199. Everyone went crazy, and the two elite powerhouses were even more shocked. They did not see how the other party attacked. Originally, they thought that the two sides were evenly matched, but thinking about it, the final victory would be theirs. However, in just a short moment, one of their elites was killed. What method did the other party use? Lin Xian looked at the headless corpse and sneered. Then he turned his gaze and stared at the other two elite powerhouses. He said, "Now, have you decided who will come up?" Hearing Lin Xian's words, the two elite powerhouses trembled, and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. Thinking about how they were fighting to be the first to attack, they even had the heart to die. They did not expect that they were fighting for the chance to attack, but they were actually fighting for the chance to die. Thinking of this, their faces were extremely pale. "Damn it, don't talk nonsense with him, let's attack together." The two elite powerhouses looked at each other and decided to attack together. Buzz! The yellow-robed elder on the left pulled out a treasure sword, and his body emitted a dazzling sword light. The purple-robed elder on the right took out an umbrella, and the Linglong treasure pagoda was floating above his head. Kill! The yellow-robed elder waved his long sword and used a terrifying sword technique called the 7-killing sword technique. The sword chi in the sky turned into 7 demonic wolves, roaring ferociously as they swooped down. On the other side, the purple-robed elder spun the umbrella in his hand. The umbrella left his hand and floated in the air, releasing tens of thousands of auras. A terrifying force enveloped Lin Xian, trying to suck him away. This umbrella was a very terrifying Dharma treasure. Once sucked in, even an elite powerhouse would be refined. It was extremely terrifying. The two powerhouses attacked Lin Xian together, and it seemed that they really wanted to kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian formed a hand seal, and an ice phoenix shot out, instantly freezing the sword technique in the sky. The 7 demonic wolves were frozen in the void. What a terrifying power of ice! The yellow-robed elder was shocked. But at this moment, the mysterious umbrella arrived above Lin Xian and instantly sucked Lin Xian away. Buzz! Support the original, kill the pirated version. Seeing this, the purple-clothed old man hurriedly activated his seal. The umbrella closed and spun in the air. With a wave of his hand, the blood-red umbrella returned to his hand, and he laughed heartily. "Ha ha ha, brat, no matter how strong you are. So what if you enter my blood river umbrella? In less than the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, you will turn into a puddle of blood. Even if you call yourself a genius, you won't be able to stop him." The purple-clothed elder laughed heartily at the sky, looking extremely pleased. At the side, the yellow-robed old man's figure flickered as he came to the side. He said, "Be careful, don't really kill him. Otherwise, we won't be able to answer to the first prince." "Don't worry, I won't wait for an incense stick's worth of time. After half an incense stick's worth of time, I'll let him out." Then he used the Millennium Cold Steel to tie him up. At that time, let's see how he can escape. This time, the purple-clothed elder was too excited, because if he captured Lin Xian, he would be crowned king. At that time, he would have a meteoric rise and become an overlord. The yellow-clothed old man at the side was also extremely envious. Why didn't he have such a fate? Of course, he also knew that in a one-on-one battle, he was no match for Lin Xian. The reason why the other party was able to succeed was entirely because of the red umbrella. The Blood River umbrella, a top-tier Earth-rank artifact. It was extremely mysterious and terrifying. Anything that was absorbed by the Blood River umbrella would be refined by the mysterious power inside. Even if an elite mighty figure saw it, they would be terrified. Thinking of that, he sighed. Lin Xian was unlucky to have encountered the Blood River umbrella. Perhaps, no matter how powerful he was, he would not be able to use it. Boom! At that moment, the Blood River umbrella suddenly exploded, forming a violent energy wave that tore the void apart. The energy was so terrifying that the purple-clothed elder was directly blown into a bloody mist. Not only that, because the yellow-robed elder was too close, half of his body was blown away. He fell to the ground and kept twitching. What was going on? Why did the Blood River umbrella explode? However, in the next moment he was stunned. That was because he discovered that the Blood River umbrella had split open and a large hole had appeared. A figure came out from inside. It was the kid from before, Lin Xian. What? He was fine, and he had rushed out. How was that possible? The yellow-robed elder was stunned. The other party's body was spotless and undamaged. That was beyond his expectations. He knew the power of the Blood River umbrella. Even an elite mighty figure would not be able to escape from it. However, not only was the other party not injured, but he had also successfully broken the Blood River umbrella. That was a top-tier artifact. How did that kid break it? He was too shocked. The surrounding people were even more terrified. Such a powerful artifact had been broken, and an elite mighty figure had been killed. The other one had also lost half his life. That method was too terrifying. Humph! Do you think a small artifact can trap me? Lin Xian's body was surrounded by sword light. He sneered disdainfully. His eyes flickered as he stared at the yellow-robed, mighty figure on the ground. Go to hell! He raised his hand and shot out a sword wave. Don't kill me! No! The yellow-robed, mighty figure screamed crazily and wanted to escape. However, just as he moved, he was enveloped by the sword wave. The remaining half of his body was directly slashed into a bloody mist. Looking at that scene, the surrounding warriors of the city, Lord's mansion, all went crazy. They trembled and knelt on the ground. Some of their faces were pale, while others turned around and fled. There was nothing they could do. The impact was too great. 3 elite mighty figures had been killed in just a few moves. They could not believe it at all. It was like a dream. Run quickly! Those people fled in all directions. Lin Xian sneered. With a wave of his hand, the demon-slaying sword array surged out. Streaks of blood-colored sword light swept out in all directions. Every time the sword chi slashed down, many people would be directly split apart. Their blood would fuse into the demon-slaying sword array again, increasing the power of the sword array. Lin Xian was like a god of death, harvesting the lives of those people. Those people screamed crazily, but they could not escape at all. Damn it, I'll fight you. In the crowd, 6 mighty figures roared. They attacked together from all directions and attacked Lin Xian. 5-colored lightning strike. Lin Xian stood on the spot without moving. He formed a seal with his palms, and 5-colored lightning struck down from the sky, piercing through all 6 mighty figures. Ah! Ah! Screams sounded one after another. The lightning spread rapidly, and nothing could stop it wherever it passed. Humph! How dare you cause trouble in my city, Lord's mansion? You must have a death wish. At that moment, a majestic voice sounded. It was like an ancient, demonic voice that sounded in the void. Hearing that voice, Lin Xian frowned and looked into the distance. As for the surrounding people, they all became excited. The city lord! The city lord was here. Their bodies trembled, and hope appeared in their eyes. In the sky, a figure appeared like a demon god. He quickly descended, bringing with him countless rays of light and terrifying energy fluctuations. Chapter 2200. In the sky, a human figure appeared. Like a demon god, he descended quickly, bringing with him countless rays of light and terrifying energy waves. Boom! Then the figure descended. Behind him, there were 5 elders, each of them emitting a terrifying aura. The auras of these people merged together, causing the entire space to freeze. They were too powerful, especially the figure at the front. He was like a god of war. City Lord! Everyone was trembling from this aura. But at this moment, they were all extremely excited, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. The reason for that was because the imposing figure that had appeared was their Flame City's city master. Their city lord was extremely powerful and was a pinnacle almighty. His strength was far above the elite almighties. Originally, these people were in despair because even if the elite almighties joined forces, they would not be able to contend against Lin Xian. But now it was different. Their city lord was here. A pinnacle almighty was here. They would definitely be able to kill him. Moreover, the 5 elders behind the city lord were also elite almighties. Such a lineup was even more terrifying than before. When the city lord of Flame City descended, his body was surrounded by flames, making it impossible to see his face. But his eyes were like divine lamps, shining brightly. He stared at Lin Xian and said coldly, "Kid, surrender obediently and I can spare your life." His voice was extremely cold and emotionless, but it carried a biting cold pressure that caused everyone's heart to beat wildly. "You are the city lord of Flame City?" In the face of such a godlike figure, Lin Xian merely sneered and kept sizing him up. "In that case, you are directly under the orders of the Crown Prince, right? It seems like you are the Crown Prince's dog. Well, if I kill you, no one in Flame City will dare to go against me." "What? This kid wants to kill the city lord." Hearing this, the surrounding warriors felt their scalps go numb. Was this kid crazy? The city lord was a pinnacle almighty. Could it be that this kid had the strength to kill a pinnacle almighty? They did not dare to believe it. One had to know that although they were all almighties, the difference between an ordinary almighty and an elite almighty was many times greater. And the difference between an elite almighty and a pinnacle almighty was many times greater. The difference was huge and could not be made up. Therefore, when these people heard Lin Xian's words, they were all stunned. "You want to kill me?" Flame City's city lord, Hua Xiaoyun, laughed. "Brat, I admit that you're very strong. You actually managed to kill your way into the depths of my city, Lord's mansion, by yourself. He had even killed many powerful experts. But do you think you can go against me like this? I, Hua Xiaoyun, am 530 years old this year. Although I am not a peerless almighty being, I am the city lord of Flame City. What do you think I relied on? Let me tell you, it's power. My strength is definitely not something that ordinary top almighties can compare to. It's not something you can imagine. Therefore, the fact that you dared to attack me is the biggest mistake you've ever made. Relying on strength? What strength do you have? Let me take a look." Lin Xian snorted coldly. He wasn't an ordinary king tier, either. His battle prowess was equivalent to a peerless almighty. So what if his opponent was powerful? Could it be that the other party was stronger than him? More than his trump cards? Therefore, Lin Xian wasn't afraid of Flame City's city lord. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Flame City's city lord, Hua Xiaoyun, was also a genius in the Tai dynasty. Indeed, as the other party said, ordinary city lords were all peerless almighties. However, this Hua Xiaoyun in front of them wasn't a peerless almighty. He was just a top king tier king. However, his strength was extremely terrifying. In the past 100 years, there had always been 3 top experts who attacked the city lord. In the end, they were all killed mercilessly. Yes, the city lord's strength was absolutely terrifying and unfathomable. This brat was definitely dead. Behind them, the 5 elite almighties were also discussing in low voices. In front of them, Hua Xiaoyun's face sank. His eyes were like divine lamps, flickering with a cold light. A terrifying flame rushed out from his body, burning fiercely. His entire person was like a god of fire, dazzling and eye-catching. Buzz! In the next moment, Hua Xiaoyun attacked. He stretched out a hand and pressed forward. A boundless sea of fire spread, instantly dyeing the surroundings red. The entire city, Lord's mansion, shook as if it would split open at any time. Pung pung pung! The air exploded. Many of the city, Lord's mansion's martial artists in the distance knelt on the ground, trembling. This was because they couldn't withstand such terrifying energy fluctuations. Pung! Lin Xian also punched out. Hellfire appeared and turned into a black fist, shining in the sky like a black sun. It collided with Hua Xiaoyan's palm and then exploded. The two collided and energy exploded, sweeping in all directions. The surrounding buildings exploded in an instant and countless cracks appeared on the ground. Some of the nearby martial artists were directly sent flying. There were even a few who were burned to ashes on the spot. He blocked it. That Brett actually blocked the city lord's attack. How was that possible? The remaining people all frantically retreated, their faces filled with horror. Hua Xiaoyan also frowned. The flame in his eyes became even brighter, like a divine lamp. The opponent in front of him was beyond his expectations. However, he snorted coldly and waved his sleeve. Instantly, the sea of fire in the sky condensed, forming a fire phoenix that quickly rushed over. This fire phoenix was extremely huge, covering the entire space. Its entire body was burning with flames, as if it was alive. In an instant, it rushed towards Lin Xian. A strong wave of heat hit him in the face. Wang! On Lin Xian's body, the ice protection appeared, and the ice in the sky resisted the terrifying flames. At the same time, countless sword qi rushed out from under his feet, turning into a dark, demonic crocodile. The huge, immemorial shadow directly rushed into the void. It was together with the fire phoenix. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Xian and the city lord of Flame City fought, as if two gods were fighting fiercely. Terrifying energy collided in the air, tearing apart the void. At this moment, everyone in the Flame City raised their heads to look at the sky. They were looking at the space that had been torn apart. Looking at the flames in the sky, all the martial artists in the city were separated. What's going on? Someone is fighting in the city. Lord's mansion? Heavens, someone actually dares to fight here. Does he not want to live anymore? It's that brat. Previously, he had killed many black armored guards on the streets. Who would have thought that he would kill his way to the city, Lord's mansion? Sounds of discussion rang out. Many people soared into the sky, flying towards the city, Lord's mansion. Wang! In front, Hua Xiaoyun roared, and an even more terrifying flame appeared on his body. At the same time, a sea of fire quickly formed in his palm, as if it could cover the entire world. Wang! In the next moment, he stretched out his palm, and the sea of fire in his palm bloomed with light, enveloping Lin Xian. 8 Desolation Palm. This was Hua Xiaoyan's ultimate move, and it was extremely terrifying. Even the top powerhouses could not fight against it. Chapter 2201. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The sword qi in his body rushed out quickly, like lightning, bombarding the void. At the same time, he waved the ancient Dragon Abyss sword. The chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword rushed out. The chaotic sword qi was like a long river falling in the air. The sword was like the light of the beginning. What was more shocking was that there were stars circling within the sword qi. It was extremely mysterious, like a universe. What kind of sword qi was that? It was terrifying. Why did it feel like the beginning of the world? Many people gasped, their eyes filled with shock. Although they did not recognize that sword technique, they knew that it was extremely terrifying. Buzz! At that moment, Hua Xiaoyun's flame world arrived above Lin Xian's head and mercilessly fell. The void below was instantly burned into a black hole. Terrifying flames surrounded it, about to swallow the entire world. However, in the next moment, the flames in the sky were mercilessly split apart. A chaotic sword qi crushed the 9 heavens and directly struck the flame world. Boom! Heaven and earth shook, and cracks appeared on the flame world. More and more cracks appeared, and then it exploded with a boom. What? The city lord's ultimate technique was broken. How was that possible? These people were truly stupefied. The 8 Desolations palm was a kind of great divine ability. It was incomparably terrifying, but now it was actually split apart by a single sword. What kind of sword technique was that? Wasn't that kid too terrifying? The city lord of Flame City, Xiaoyun's expression changed. He retracted his palm, and there was a sword mark on his palm, almost cutting his palm off. How dare you injure me? Kid, you've committed an unforgivable crime. Xiaoyun's expression was cold. In the next moment, blood dripped from his wound, but it burned in the air. Then it turned into a giant flame beast. These flame beasts were densely packed, and there were more and more of them. They all rushed toward Lin Xian. Xiaoyun's lips curled into a cold smile. This was one of his techniques. He used his blood and fire energy to form a terrifying attack. Holy light bloomed on the surface of his body, wanting to heal his wound. However, in the next moment he was stunned, because he realized that the wound was difficult to heal. What was going on? Xiaoyun frowned. How could his opponent's sword qi be so powerful? Until now, there was still a terrifying sword qi lingering on his wound. It made it impossible for him to heal. Damn it! Xiaoyun snorted coldly and activated a secret technique to stop the bleeding. However, when he raised his head, his pupils shrank again. This was because the demonic beasts formed by the combination of blood and flames had been completely split apart. Lin Xian used the dragon's sword domain and released tens of thousands of sword qi, directly piercing through all the flame demon beasts. Is this your divine ability? He couldn't even withstand a single blow. Next, I'll show you my divine ability. Lin Xian sneered and waved the ancient Dragon Abyss sword in his hand. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword, Demon Seal. Boom! Heaven and earth split apart, unable to withstand this terrifying sword light at all. The city lord's mansion was instantly split into two. Boom! Xiaoyun's pupil shrank as he released 6 flame divine shields to protect himself. At the same time, the flames on his body condensed, forming a battle armor to block this terrifying sword. However, he was still sent flying. His body landed heavily on the ground, creating a bottomless pit. The surrounding people were all spitting out saliva. What kind of power was this? A single slash was enough to split open the city lord's mansion. Even the city lord was sent flying. Roar! Damn it, I'm going to kill you. Below, the ground was suffused with red light as a figure soared into the sky. It was Xiaoyun. His hair was disheveled, and the 6 flame divine shields on his body were all broken. His battle armor was also in tatters. However, the flame aura on his body was even stronger. It was even mixed with the smell of fresh blood. Obviously, that attack just now had injured him, and it was a serious injury. This completely infuriated Xiaoyun. He was the city lord of Flaming Cloud City, and his strength was extremely terrifying. At such a young age, he was already able to suppress an expert. But now he actually suffered a loss at the hands of a 20-year-old brat. He couldn't tolerate it. Brat, you have completely angered me. Xiaoyun shouted coldly as he pulled out a flaming saber from the void. This flame was very strange. It wasn't red, but green. See, returning saber. It's over. The city lord is really angry. He actually used See returning saber. Behind him, the 5 elite almighties also exclaimed. They knew that the origin of this saber was very special. This green flame came from a very terrifying demon beast in the Endless Sea region. It was called the green sepal demon turtle. This kind of turtle could typically live for more than 7,000 years. It was very terrifying. They had a type of deviant flame in their bodies that was very terrifying. See returning saber was refined from this demon beast's deviant flame. With a swing of the saber, it could burn the heavens and destroy the earth. Even peerless almighties would find it troublesome. It was even more impossible for those below the level of peerless almighties to resist. Indeed, when Gui Hai Dao appeared, the flailing flames had already reduced the city, Lord Manor beneath, to ashes. Everyone retreated extremely far away, not daring to approach. Even the 5 elite almighties were pale as they quickly retreated. Lin Xian also felt a wave of heat surging towards him, but in the next moment he snorted coldly. Countless sword auras rushed out from his body, forming a light screen that enveloped him. These sword auras were extremely sharp. Even though these deviant flames were terrifying, they were all destroyed in front of the sword auras. They couldn't survive at all. Go to hell, brat. Opposite him, Hua Xiaoyan held Sea Returning Saber and slashed down crazily. Lin Xian also brandished the ancient Dragon Abyss sword and slashed forward. Intense collisions sounded in the sky. Every collision tore through the void, creating extremely terrifying destructive light. After more than 100 collisions, the city, Lord of Flame City, suddenly retreated. His eyes were filled with intense shock. This was because the flames on Sea Returning Saber that he was so proud of had dimmed as though they would extinguish at any moment. The ancient Dragon Abyss sword in Lin Xian's hand was still extremely simple and unadorned. It emitted a mysterious aura. Damn it, how is this possible? Sea Returning Saber can't withstand it. Hua Xiaoyan was extremely shocked. What kind of sword was it? How could it be so powerful? Lin Xian was also surprised. As expected of the city, Lord of Flame City, he could actually resist me for such a long time. But now it's over. With that said, his aura became sharp again. An even more terrifying Sword Dao aura surged out. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword War Song. Another sharp beam of light. There was no light in the world. Only this eternal sword beam. Damn it! Block it for me! Hua Xiaoyan roared angrily. He held Sea Returning Saber with both hands and swept it out. Immediately, boundless green flames spread in the air, condensing into a huge black tortoise that roared in all directions. Boom! Clang! In the next moment, the two collided with an earth-shattering sound. Countless cracks, vortexes, and black holes were formed. It was blocked. Hua Xiaoyan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this. However, in the next moment, the huge black tortoise phantom in front of him suddenly cracked open. A beam of eternal light slashed toward him. Chapter 2202. No, he screamed crazily, trying to escape. However, his body was cut in half by the sword chi. The armor on his body could not block the sword at all. Not only him, but the ground below and the buildings in the distance were all cut in half by the sword. In fact, the entire giant city was almost split in half. This was also because of the array formation's protection. Otherwise, the entire Flame City would have been destroyed. What? The city lord was killed. How was this possible? Everyone was stunned. The city lord's body was cut in half and fell to the ground. Blood dyed the ground red. Lin Xian was like a god fiend. He stood in the air, surrounded by killing intent. Looking at this scene, these people were terrified. As for the warriors in the city lord's mansion, they screamed and tried to escape. However, Lin Xian waved his hand and the dragon sword's spiritual domain flew out. It quickly expanded and covered thousands of miles. Sword chi fell and killed all the warriors in the city lord's mansion. The 5 elite almighties wanted to block, but they could not. In an instant, all the warriors in the city lord's mansion, including the city lord, were killed. Blood gathered into a river and flowed in Flame City. The pungent smell of blood made people want to vomit. Some people even fainted from fright. It could not be helped. This scene was too terrifying. Lin Xian looked down and said coldly, "Tell the first prince that this is the outcome of trying to kill me." With that, he snorted and waved his sleeve. He turned around and soared into the sky, disappearing into the void. It was not until Lin Xian left for a long time that these people came back to their senses. Then they all exclaimed, "Lin Xian, he was the wanted Lin Xian. Are you saying that he is the one who killed the legendary Golden Lion King?" Heavens! It was really him. Only he could be so powerful to destroy the entire city, Lord's mansion. Cries of surprise could be heard one after another. It was obvious that they knew about Lin Xian as well. After all, the Tai dynasty had already issued an imperial edict. There was probably no one in the Tai dynasty who did not know. However, very few people had seen Lin Xian before. That was why they didn't recognize him earlier. It wasn't until Lin Xian's final words that they realized that the person in front of them was the ruthless devil who was wanted by the entire country. In an instant, Flame City was extremely shocked. This news swept across the Tai dynasty like a gust of wind. However, this matter was not over yet. Previously, when Lin Xian had entered Flame City, the Flame City Lord wasn't the only one who had received the news. 2 other factions had also received the news. Come to think of it, they should be arriving soon. On the other side, Lin Xian destroyed Flame City and collected all the cultivation resources within before leaving. His current target was one of the 12 main cities because there was a super teleportation array there. They could only leave the Tai dynasty by using the super transmission array. Just as Lin Xian was deciding which direction to head to, a few figures suddenly appeared behind him. Their eyes shone brightly as they stared at the blurry silhouette before them. Their lips curled into a cold smile. It's that brat. I didn't expect to meet him here. It seems that even the heavens are helping us. Once we capture him, we can be crowned kings. 3 figures appeared in the void. They looked at Lin Xian's figure in the distance and sneered. They had received the news and rushed over from other cities. They didn't know what had happened in Flame City. Therefore, they didn't know that Lin Xian's current strength was extremely terrifying. The 3 of them planned to launch a sneak attack. 3 against 1? No matter how strong the other party was, they could kill him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After about half an hour, Lin Xian frowned because he heard the sound of something tearing through the air behind him. Therefore, he stopped and turned his head to look. As expected, 3 rays of light rushed over in a triangular formation. In an instant, they arrived beside him and surrounded him. Someone was coming to kill him again. Lin Xian frowned. However, the aura of the 3 people made his expression turn serious. They were actually 3 top-notch almighties. However, individually, each of them wasn't as strong as the Flame City Lord's aura. However, when the 3 of them worked together, they were still much stronger than the Flame City Lord. Who are you? Lin Xian frowned because the 3 of them not only had powerful auras, but they were also dressed strangely. They weren't wearing luxurious robes or armor. Instead, they were wearing tattered clothes that were patched up. They looked like beggars. However, the 3 of them were obviously not beggars. Have you ever seen 3 top-notch almighties as beggars? How could these people be so poor that they couldn't even afford clothes? Who are you? Lin Xian asked coldly. Who are we? The 3 patched-up men snorted. Listen carefully, we're from the Green Bamboo Gang. Kid, you're Lin Xian, right? Come with us if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. What Green Bamboo Gang? I've never heard of it. If you want to capture me, you'll have to pay a painful price. Lin Xian snorted and a terrifying aura rose from his body. Idiot. Kid, you haven't even heard of the Green Bamboo Gang. Looks like you're really courting death. The 3 of them were furious. The Green Bamboo Gang was a huge force in the Tai dynasty. The Green Bamboo Gang had members all over the Tai dynasty. Moreover, there were many experts in the gang. It was terrifying. Now, the 3 of them were ordered to capture Lin Xian. Kid, since you're so stubborn, don't blame us for being rude. In front of them, a middle-aged man snorted. Then he turned into a stream of light and charged at Lin Xian. Humph! The other 2 top-notch almighties also snorted and attacked. They didn't want to talk nonsense with Lin Xian because he had a special identity. If he escaped, or if someone else came in between, it would be troublesome. In an instant, the first middle-aged man came to Lin Xian's side with a cold smirk on his face. Then his 5 fingers turned into claws and grabbed at Lin Xian. The palm abruptly grew in size and completely enveloped Lin Xian. There was even a green light shining on his palm. It looked like he wanted to capture Lin Xian. When the middle-aged man saw that Lin Xian didn't dodge, he thought that Lin Xian was scared out of his wits. He was delighted. Capturing such a person was really easy. They had done a great job and would be rewarded when they returned. However, they were too confident. If they had been to Flame City and seen the whereabouts of the Flame City Lord, they might not be so arrogant. Unfortunately, they had just arrived from another city and didn't know what had happened in Flame City. Therefore, what awaited them was tragedy. Buzz. Indeed, in the next moment, Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. It was like a divine sword that cut through the void. Not only that, a sharp sword qi came out of Lin Xian's body and slashed at the void. Chapter 2203. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a terrifying light that cut through the void like a divine sword. A sharp sword qi rushed out of his body and slashed into the void. Clang! Immediately after, an earth-shattering collision was heard. Then the smile on the middle-aged man's face froze, and his expression became very ugly. His heart was beating wildly, and a strong sense of danger rose from his heart. Even the blood in his body froze. In the next moment, the middle-aged man screamed crazily. His voice was heart-wrenching. That was because his palm was completely split in half. Not only that, his entire palm was cut in half. Blood and bones flowed out. The 5 fingers were connected to the heart, let alone the entire palm. The pain was so excruciating that even this top-notch almighty shrieked out in pain. This was because Lin Xian's sword light was simply too sharp. In fact, even his soul was trembling along with it. Boom! The middle-aged man was sent flying, and his blood dyed the void red. The other 2 members of the Green Bamboo Gang were also shocked. What was going on? How could the other party be so powerful? Their comrade was actually injured. How was that possible? The 3 of them were all top mighty figures. Who was this kid? How could he be so powerful? The 3 of them were shocked. They realized that things were not as simple as they had imagined. Damn it, this kid is a little tricky. He doesn't seem to be weaker than us. Let's attack together and kill him. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. One of the elders said in a deep voice. The other 2 nodded. The injured, middle-aged man's face was gloomy. He had already taken out a treasure from his storage ring and smeared it on his wound to stop the bleeding temporarily. However, his long and narrow eyes were filled with the fury of the previous day. How dare the other party hurt him? That was unforgivable. Buzz! Buzz! In the next moment, the 3 of them took out bamboo poles from their storage rings. They were not ordinary bamboo, but rather, they were very magical. The bamboo poles were a meter long and were crystal clear. They were emitting an emerald green light and looked like green jade from afar. Not only that, but there were mysterious patterns on the 3 bamboo poles, and they emitted a mysterious aura. They thought that the Green Bamboo Gang was just a random name, but now it seemed that it had something to do with the bamboo in their hands. The aura emitted by the 3 bamboo poles was too unusual. Charge! The 3 of them held the resplendent bamboos in their hands as their auras erupted and swept across the land. When the 3 pinnacle almighties attacked together, their power was terrifying. Most likely, none of the top almighties would be able to fight against them alone. That was because if the 3 of them joined forces, they would be able to fight against a peerless almighty. However, to say that they could resist was only in theory. If they really encountered a peerless almighty, they still wouldn't be able to win. And Lin Xian's strength was equivalent to an unparalleled mighty figure. Countless cracks spread in the sky. 3 emerald green bamboos flickered non-stop, as if 3 huge green dragons were dancing in the sky. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian. Heavenly Dragons, 8 steps. Lin Xian executed the 3 Heavens Dragon 8 steps and quickly dodged. In an instant, he disappeared from where he stood. Boom! The space where Lin Xian had been was blasted apart. However, Lin Xian had already left their attack range. At the same time, he pulled out the ancient Dragon Abyss sword and quickly counterattacked. Fire God's Roar! A huge flaming sword appeared in the sky. It was held by a giant that was hundreds of feet tall and slashed down. The spiritual energy in the area boiled and the air cracked. The terrifying flaming sword collided with the 3 huge dragons and instantly let out an earth-shattering sound. The 3 pinnacle almighties continued to fight. In the end, 2 waves of energy disappeared in the sky at the same time. Damn it, this kid is so strong. He can actually fight us to a draw. The 3 of them were shocked. They didn't expect that the 3 pinnacle almighties couldn't do anything to Lin Xian. Damn it. Let's quickly execute the 3 elements green bamboo formation. Kill him with the formation. The 3 of them discussed for a while and quickly formed the formation. The mysterious runes on the green bamboos in their hands began to appear and float in the air. Soon, the 3 of them were about to form a magical formation. A terrifying and monstrous power surged from the 3 of them. However, Lin Xian wouldn't let the 3 of them successfully execute the formation. Therefore, just as the 3 of them moved, Lin Xian moved as well. The ancient Dragon Abyss sword in his hand seemed to have turned into a huge dragon and slashed down from the sky. Suddenly, it slashed at the center of the 3. A terrifying force was produced and shattered all the mysterious runes in the sky. Damn it! The formation was broken before it was completed. The 3 pinnacle almighties were furious. They kept waving their palms and launching terrifying attacks at Lin Xian. At the same time, runes appeared on the 3 of them again. They wanted to continue to set up the formation. However, at this moment, the middle-aged man whose palm was injured earlier suddenly narrowed his eyes. That was because he felt a biting, cold, killing intent appear behind him. In the next moment, he suddenly turned around and his scalp went numb. He was almost scared out of his wits. That was because he realized that Lin Xian had already arrived behind him. Damn it! How could he be so fast? The middle-aged man's face immediately turned green. He turned into a stream of light and tried to escape. Destroy! Lin Xian swung the ancient Dragon Abyss sword and slashed down. Poof! The middle-aged pinnacle almighties froze. A line of blood appeared between his eyebrows and spread down. Poof! His body was split into 2 halves. What? He was killed. The other 2 pinnacle almighties felt their scalps go numb when they saw this scene. What kind of joke was this? Their companion was also a pinnacle almighty. He was actually killed by a single sword strike. How was that possible? This kid was too terrifying. They couldn't believe it at all. However, there was no time for them to think too much about it. After Lin Xian succeeded, he used the Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps again and came in front of the old man. The ancient Dragon Abyss sword in his hand stabbed out again. Damn it, block it for me. The old man's reaction was fast enough. In an instant, he waved the green bamboo pole in his hand and blocked in front of him. On the bamboo, mysterious runes flashed and formed a green light screen to block the attack. Crack, crack, crack. When the ancient Dragon Abyss sword collided with the green light screen, the entire light screen instantly cracked and shattered like glass. Clang! The old man was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly waved the pole in his hand to block the attack. In the next moment, the 2 collided, and a huge force blasted the old man away. After retreating for a few thousand meters, the old man stopped. The blood in his body was boiling. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes were filled with shock. When he saw that the bamboo in his hand had cracked, he was even more shocked. The green bamboo had an extraordinary origin. Its power and hardness were equivalent to a pinnacle treasure. However, cracks had appeared on it when it collided with the other party. What grade was the sword in the other party's hand? He couldn't believe it. Looking for recommendations, monthly votes, subscriptions, collections, rewards. 1. Chapter 2204. He wanted to escape, but countless chaotic sword chi fell from the sky and cut his body into countless pieces. What? Another one died. The last elder's scalp went numb. He didn't expect another top powerhouse to die in the blink of an eye. He couldn't believe it. So in the next moment, he quickly burned the spiritual power in his body and turned around to escape. Where do you think you're going? Lin Xian's figure flashed and blocked his way in an instant. Seeing that the other party was so fast, the elder's face was extremely ugly, because he knew that the other party's speed was far beyond his. It would be difficult for him to escape. Thinking of this, a hint of determination appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, he took out a red pill the size of a walnut and quickly swallowed it. Whoosh! Ah! In less than 2 seconds after he swallowed the pill, the elder screamed crazily. A layer of red light rose from his body and his skin was ignited. Countless flames burned. The old man's clothes were instantly torn apart, revealing the battle armor underneath. Ah, his expression was twisted, but the aura on his body had become more powerful than before. The blood-burst pill was a pill that could increase a warrior's strength. Of course, it was a forceful increase. Although it was a temporary increase, the side effects were very terrifying. However, now that it was a matter of life and death, the elder could no longer care about the side effects. He could only deal with the young man in front of him now. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to survive now, let alone in the future. Die, kid! After the elder's strength increased, he waved his hand and smashed down with his staff. Immediately, the void was shattered. His strength had increased. Lin Xian didn't take it head-on. Instead, he used his movement technique to quickly dodge. As for the energy storm, it was destroyed by a few slashes of his sword. He looked ahead and frowned. He could clearly feel that the elder's strength was stronger than before. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. Then, a ball of hellfire appeared on his body. At the same time, Sea God Ice appeared. The power of ice and fire intertwined on the surface of his body, and finally turned into an ice and fire giant. He was very tall, and the aura of ice and fire intertwined on his body. He was like an ice and fire martial god looking down on the world. The martial god of ice and snow reached out and grabbed at the air in front of him. The fusion of the two types of ice and energy was extremely terrifying. In an instant, the void was pierced and thousands of li were sealed in ice. It wanted to trap the elder from the Azure Bamboo Gang. Brat, my strength has already multiplied. You're no match for me. The old man laughed sinisterly, waved the green light in his hand, and quickly counterattacked. However, when he came into contact with the power of ice and fire, his expression changed again. This was because the power of ice and fire was far beyond his imagination. Whoosh! Ah! In an instant, the old man screamed miserably as the hellfire and sea god's ice instantly enveloped him. The next moment, he felt as if his body was being ignited, as if his entire body was going to burn. As for the other side of his body, it was like 10,000 miles of ice had been sealed. The power of ice and fire, the fusion of ice and fire. Damn it! How could he be so strong? The old man roared crazily. His body trembled violently because he had never seen such a terrifying power before. Ah! The old man screamed crazily. It was extremely miserable. His hair was disheveled as he let out a sharp howl. Lord Green Bamboo, please show yourself. The old man gritted his teeth and roared. Then, with a crack, he tore off his left arm. That arm was dripping with blood, but he couldn't care less about that. He crazily placed his left arm under the green bamboo in front of him. The runes on the green bamboo flickered. Then a mouth appeared and directly swallowed the left arm. Then it began to chew on it. This scene was extremely strange. A weapon actually grew a mouth and ate an arm of a pinnacle mighty figure. One had to admit that it was really too strange. At this moment, the green bamboo ate the arm of the pinnacle mighty figure, and its entire body shone brightly. The runes on it flickered rapidly. It was incomparably mysterious and constantly enlarged. Buzz, buzz, buzz! In an instant, it turned into 100 feet tall bamboo. It shone brightly and emitted a terrifying aura. Buzz! The bamboo leaves in the sky shook and turned into a rain of light that charged forward. Everywhere it passed, the void shattered. This power was too terrifying. It could even kill a pinnacle mighty figure. What a strange bamboo! Lin Xian also frowned. He had never seen such a scene before. He still didn't know if this bamboo was a living thing or a weapon. However, facing the torrent of bamboo leaves, he quickly used his movement technique to dodge. At the same time, he waved his hands, and the terrifying power of ice and fire surged forward. Boom, boom, boom. There was an intense collision, and the energy in front of him exploded. Lin Xian's figure flashed and appeared in another direction. He used his demon sealing technique, and the terrifying sword Qi slashed on the green bamboo. A terrifying crack appeared on it. This sword strike almost split the bamboo into two halves. Roar! Pirates must die! The bamboo was also angry. As if it had really come to life, it let out a monstrous roar. In the next moment, it waved the branches in the sky and wrapped around the armless pinnacle old man. Moreover, all the bamboo leaves pierced into the old man's flesh and quickly absorbed his blood. Ah, no. Lord Green Bamboo, please spare me. The pinnacle mighty figure screamed crazily and struggled nonstop. However, he couldn't escape at all. He was nailed in the void and could only watch as his blood and energy were sucked dry by the green bamboo. Gulp! Gulp! Soon, the flesh and blood of the pinnacle mighty figure caved in, and in the end he was only human skin. As for the green bamboo, it shone brightly. Its body shrank again, turning into a 2-meter-tall bamboo man. It had a head and 4 limbs, but its entire shape was like a puppet. Crack, crack, crack. As it moved its hands and legs, it made cracking sounds. Its movements were obviously very stiff and not as agile as humans. However, its speed was too fast, and its strength was very violent. It definitely surpassed the previous 3 pinnacle mighty figures, and was even stronger than the Flame City's city lord. What was that? Lin Xian frowned. In the next moment, he formed a seal, and the Hell's Ice Lotus quickly flew out. The other party was bamboo, which was also a plant type. It should be afraid of fire. Therefore, he used the Hell's Fire, and the raging flames enveloped the other party, wanting to burn it to ashes. However, he didn't expect the green bamboo to be so tenacious. It wasn't damaged at all by the Hell's Fire. Mysterious runes appeared on its body and floated in the void, blocking the Hell's Fire. Not only that, a pale human face appeared in the square head. It was the old man whose blood had been sucked dry. His face appeared on the bamboo man's face. It was extremely strange. Go to hell, brat. Chapter 2205. The ferocious face let out a crazy roar. Then, the light on the bamboo man's body became even more violent. The bamboo man stretched out its palm and quickly transformed into a dark green spear that emitted a cold aura. When the spear pierced out, a terrifying energy pierced through the void, and there was a rumbling sound between heaven and earth. One could imagine how terrifying that attack was. Ha ha, kid, go to hell. The human face let out a sinister smile. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He felt a sense of danger. However, he did not dodge. In the next moment, he gripped the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand tightly. The great dragon, sword soul in his body, quickly circulated. A terrifying sword principle aura swept out. Boom! The ancient dragon abyss sword slashed down. The terrifying sword Qi tore through heaven and earth and slashed forward. In an instant, it hit the bamboo man's body, and there was a deafening rumble. It's useless. You can't break it at all. The human face sneered disdainfully. However, in the next moment, its pupils constricted and it let out a miserable scream. That was because the runes on the bamboo man's body began to shatter. There were also cracks on the surface of its body, and they were getting bigger and bigger. No, damn it, that's impossible. The pale human face screamed crazily as if it could not believe it. That was because the origin of the bamboo was too mysterious. Even a top-grade weapon could not crack it. However, the other party's sword almost split it open. What kind of sword was that? How could it be so powerful? It could actually block my attack? Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect the bamboo to be so tough. But so what? Soon, he slashed out a few more sword Qi. The terrifying sword Qi flickered in the air and hit the bamboo man. Immediately, the cracks on the bamboo man became even bigger. Not long after, there was a loud bang and it shattered into pieces. Ah! The human face screamed, then turned into a wisp of white smoke and disappeared into the void. A pool of blood flowed out of the bamboo man's body. It was done. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief and turned to leave. However, at that moment, the void above the bamboo man suddenly tore open and a terrifying black hole appeared. Moreover, an extremely violent force surged out from within. Damn it! How dare you destroy my clone? A cold voice sounded, accompanied by a large green hand. Like a precious jade, it shot out of the black hole and instantly blasted forward. This palm was simply too terrifying. Everything within a radius of 100,000 miles exploded in an instant. Lin Xian also felt a terrifying sense of crisis. He instantly entered the black earth. Boom! Boom! The black earth was bombarded by the energy and was sent tumbling away. Fortunately, it was only a shock. The black tycoon was extremely tough and did not crack. The black earth slowly came to a stop after retreating for 30,000 miles. The shattered space within a radius of 100,000 miles was quickly mending itself. It didn't take long for the space to return to normal. In the distance, the black vortex also disappeared, and the large green hand also disappeared. Damn it, what the hell is that? This was too terrifying. The Crimson Dragon looked terrified. That palm strike from before had also given him a feeling of death. Fortunately, they had the Black Earth, which could withstand such a terrifying attack. Otherwise, all of them would have been done for by that attack just now. This was at least a peerless almighty, or an even more terrifying existence. Black Earth said in a deep voice. He did not expect such a person to make a move. Fortunately, he seemed to be very far away and could only rely on his connection with the green bamboo man to make a move. Now that the green bamboo man was completely shattered, he should not be able to make a move anymore. Lin Xian's gaze turned solemn. It seemed that this should be the top expert of the Green Bamboo Gang. Green Bamboo Gang, I will remember this. There will be a day when I will completely annihilate it. Lin Xian snorted coldly and then came out of the black earth. He identified the direction and moved again, leaving this place. 12 main cities. The nearest Qilin main city was more than 10 days away. However, Lin Xian was not worried about this time. He was worried that his identity would be exposed when he entered Qilin main city. After all, even Flame City could detect his tracks. As one of the 12 main cities, there must be even more terrifying experts. Moreover, these people might even guess that he wanted to use the super transmission array. Therefore, Lin Xian did not plan to enter directly. He planned to use a clone to enter and check whether it was safe or not. After flying for about 13 days, Lin Xian finally arrived at Qilin City. This city was 10 times bigger than Flame City. It was very majestic, as if a black Qilin was entrenched in the earth. As expected of one of the 12 main cities, It was incomparably majestic. Lin Xian landed in a mountain range 20,000 miles away from Qilin City. Then he created a clone. This clone was exactly the same as him. It was condensed from his pure energy. This cultivation technique came from the All Beginnings Holy Land. The moment the clone appeared, it looked at Lin Xian with a smile on its face. In the next moment, its figure flashed and it soared into the sky, preparing to head towards Qilin City. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and silently waited. A wisp of his soul had already entered this clone. Therefore, he could also know what this clone was experiencing. This clone possessed 80% of Lin Xian's strength. It could be said that it was extremely powerful. However, it could only exist for 3 days at most. After 3 days, even if no one attacked it and it wasn't killed, it would vanish into thin air. Moreover, this clone did not have the great dragon sword soul or the heavenly secret divine eyes. Of course, none of this was important. Lin Xian's main purpose in using this clone was to check if there was any danger. A distance of 20,000 miles was nothing to Lin Xian's clone. Therefore, it didn't take long for him to arrive. With a sway of his body, Lin Xian's clone landed on the ground. He strode towards the city in front of him. As he walked, his face also changed. Buzz. When Lin Xian's clone entered Qilin City, there were at least 3 places in the city that were emitting light. Numerous figures looked at the signal in front of them and sneered. As expected, that brat came here. He wanted to use the super transmission array to leave the Tai dynasty? Fat chance. Capture him. We must deliver him to the war race. That's right, we have to act quickly. I heard that the war race has already received the news and is preparing to head to the Tai dynasty. If such a person comes and we don't capture him, who knows what will happen? Has the war race already arrived? Then we have to act quickly. Ordinary almighties shouldn't go. That brat is very powerful. Since he was able to kill the Golden Lion King, it means that he is at least a peak almighty. Or perhaps even stronger. How about this? Send 3 peak almighties and 1 exceptional almighty. We must capture him. In a magnificent palace, several old men made their decision. Chapter 2206. How about this? Send 3 top-notch mighty figures and 1 peerless mighty figure to capture him. Inside a magnificent hall, several old men made their decision. In another place, in a quaint pavilion, a woman in red and wearing a mask waved her arm. Immediately, her subordinates disappeared into the void. Go and capture him for me. In another place, in a private manor, in front of a huge lake, a man in white opened his eyes. On the surface of the lake in front of him, there was an array formation. At this moment, a message was appearing from it. That kid actually came to Qilin City? That's great. I originally wanted to look for him, but I didn't expect him to take the initiative to come to me. As he spoke, the man in white stood up. He carried a black ancient sword on his back, emitting a terrifying aura. The man in white's figure blurred and disappeared into the void like a sharp sword. In an instant, the 3 forces moved quickly. In an instant, they came to the street. Moreover, they quickly flew toward Lin Xian. In almost the blink of an eye, they surrounded Lin Xian. Kid, you can't run away. How dare you take the initiative to come to me? You're courting death. There were about 10 people from the 3 forces, and they firmly locked onto Lin Xian. The corners of Lin Xian's clone's mouth curled up into a cold smile. It seemed that it was just as the main body had guessed. There was an inescapable trap here. As soon as he entered, people surrounded him. Among them, there were at least 3 peerless mighty figures. If the main body rashly went forward, it would probably be difficult for him to escape, since he knew that there was no need for the clone to stay. Therefore, in the next moment, the corners of his mouth curled up into a sneer, and then his body suddenly exploded. Boom! The clone's energy was equivalent to 80% of Lin Xian's. It was absolutely terrifying when it exploded at this moment. In an instant, those top-notch mighty figures were directly enveloped. The three peerless mighty figures reacted relatively quickly and quickly distanced themselves. However, they were still affected. Among them, the clothes on one of the peerless mighty figures were blown to pieces. Another one had disheveled hair and a dark face. The third one was still fine. He was the fastest to escape, but those top-notch mighty figures were not so lucky. Two of them got too close and were directly blasted into pieces. The others were all seriously injured. Not only that, the entire street was completely destroyed. The surrounding palaces and buildings were all smashed into pieces. Fortunately, when the three parties surrounded Lin Xian, the surrounding cultivators saw that the situation was not good and ran away. Therefore, the people in the surroundings were not affected. Damn it, it was actually a clone. And it even exploded. The faces of the three peerless almighties were extremely gloomy. They had not expected the other party to have such means. They hadn't even seen the other party's true body, and their subordinates had already been killed. Even they themselves were battered and exhausted. This made them so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. They were all peerless almighties. It was incomparably terrifying, capable of suppressing a region. At this moment, they had actually suffered a loss at the hands of a brat. How could they endure this? Pirates must die. Damn it. Among them, an old man roared at the sky, instantly shattering the sky above. In addition, there were two other people with gloomy expressions. One of the women shouted coldly. This brat actually sent a clone over. He must be here to investigate the situation. I reckon that his true body isn't too far away. Hurry up and chase. After saying that, she ignored the other two people. Her figure swayed, and at the same time, she took out a small, colorful flag and waved it forcefully. Immediately, more than 10 figures rushed out of the entire Qilin city and followed behind her. They turned into a torrent and left Qilin city. The other two people also made their moves. They gathered their subordinates again and quickly rose into the sky. They belonged to different monarchs' mansions, and at this moment they were also fighting for themselves. However, when it was time to search, they could work together. However, when it was time to capture him, they would probably still fight over him. However, they could not care so much now. They had to find that detestable brat first. The three forces flew out of Qilin city in a mighty manner. For a moment, tens of thousands of miles outside Qilin city were covered, and a carpet search was carried out. Lin Xian was in the mountain range of 20,000 miles, so naturally he could not escape. However, he had already found out about these things through his clone, so he did not plan to escape. Since those people dared to come after him, he planned to give them a big present. Lin Xian had killed quite a number of experts, and the resources and storage rings of these experts were all in his hands. Therefore, he had already started to set up killing formations with the Crimson Dragon. At that moment, he had already set up more than 10 killing formations in the mountain range where he was. Not only that, he also took out all the crystals in the hands of those powerhouses to provide energy for the Black Earth. This time, no matter who it was, even if it was a peerless powerhouse, he would not let them leave. He wanted the entire Tai dynasty to know that there was only one consequence for those who dared to hunt him down. That was death. Found him. I can sense his aura. Over there. A cry of surprise came from the sky. That was because they discovered that there was a powerful aura in the mountain range below that seemed to be stopping. The three peerless powerhouses were even more ecstatic. That was because they discovered that the aura was exactly the same as the clone in Qilin City. Needless to say, it should be the brat they were looking for. Let's see where you can run this time. An old man gritted his teeth. He had already changed into a new Taoist robe. The other two also had gloomy expressions. They were very unhappy that they had suffered a loss at the hands of a brat. In the next moment, The three peerless powerhouses waved their hands and led their subordinates downwards in a grandiose manner. Buzz! They sealed off the mountain range within a radius of 10,000 miles. The three peerless powerhouses raised their hands and set up formations to seal off the area. Then, they quickly descended with their subordinates. Below, in a cave, Lin Xian opened his eyes. His eyes flashed as they pierced through the void. He smiled coldly. They were here. Buzz! Lin Xian's body swayed, and he left the cave. He came to the ground in front of him, stood with his hands behind his back, and looked up at the sky. Boom! 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 Countless figures appeared on the surrounding mountain peaks. They were all powerful martial artists. Their auras were solemn, and their expressions were cold. Their eyes were firmly fixed on Lin Xian. In the sky, there were three godlike silhouettes that were looking down from above. They were the three peerless powerhouses. It's really you, brat. The eyes of the three peerless powerhouses were like burning lamps as they stared at Lin Xian. They discovered that it was not a clone this time, but a real person. That's right, it's me. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Waiting for us? Could it be that you knew we would come? One of the women in yellow frowned. The other party had a smile on his face as if he had nothing to fear, which surprised them. Chapter 2207. One had to know that they had brought more than 100 subordinates with them. Among them, there were many top-notch elite and other experts, and the three of them were even more peerless experts. With such a lineup, not to mention a brat, even a peerless expert wouldn't be able to escape. But why wasn't the other party afraid? He even had a fearless look on his face. Could it be that there was an ambush here? In their opinion, since Lin Xian dared to make a move on the Golden Lion King, he must have some backing behind him. However, after scanning the area with their souls, they didn't discover any powerful figures hiding in ambush. This made them heave a sigh of relief. Brat, don't try to be mysterious. There's no one here. Do you think that you can fool us with some tricks? Stop resisting and obediently return with us. Otherwise, you'll end up very miserably. How dare you plot against us? I'll break your limbs first. I'll let you have a taste of the consequences of offending me. The three peerless experts' voices were cold. Their eyes were as sharp as knives, containing a monstrous aura. That gaze seemed to want to pierce through Lin Xian. The surrounding experts and Almighty sneered. Lin Xian also laughed. Is that so? You want to catch me? No hurry. Have a taste of the big gift I've prepared for you. With that, he waved his hand, and the crimson dragon came out of the black earth with a sinister smile. Ha ha! Foolish humans. Ben Huang can't wait any longer. The crimson dragon was like an old monster as he laughed wildly. His dragon claws danced, and more than a dozen killing arrays quickly lit up. There was an ambush. The three peerless experts were stunned. Looking at the rapidly flickering arrays, they sneered. Sure enough, there was an ambush, but they didn't expect that it wasn't other experts, but more than a dozen arrays. But so what? It was only a few spirit arrays. How could it possibly hurt them? These people sneered disdainfully. They didn't think that the other party had any terrifying arrays. But this time they were wrong. The array in the hands of the Crimson Dragon was incomparably mysterious. Moreover, there were countless ancient books in the Black Earth. Most of them were about formations, pills, and cultivation methods. During this time, the Crimson Dragon had been studying the ancient formations in the Black Earth. Coupled with his own experience, it could be said that his current attainments in formations were definitely beyond the imagination of these people. Boom! Boom! Therefore, when more than 10 killing arrays were activated, the surrounding experts and mighty figures were instantly attacked fiercely. Many people were directly penetrated by the terrifying energy and turned into a large bloody mist that drifted in the air. Ah! 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 Screams rang out one after another as blood flowed out. It was like hell on earth. The expressions of the three supreme beings changed as well. Damn it, die for me! One of the old men roared in anger. His palm struck out with terrifying power, shattering the mountain peak. Several formations were affected by the shock waves. However, at this moment, Lin Xian sneered. Old man, don't be hasty. I still have other gifts for the three of you. Humph. Do you think you can deal with the three of us with just these formations? You're too naive. The woman in yellow sneered disdainfully. The three of them were supreme beings. Such formations might be dangerous to ordinary mighty figures, but to them it was completely useless. The other middle-aged man also sneered. Kid, don't waste your energy. The realm of a supreme being is not something you can imagine. Just surrender obediently. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. I'll die a horrible death? Lin Xian sneered. I think you'll die a horrible death. As he said that, he waved his hand, and a black spirit boat appeared behind him. At the same time, Lin Xian's figure flashed and entered the black earth. The crimson dragon also entered. On the opposite side, the three supreme beings sneered disdainfully. Kid, how dare you threaten us? You really don't know what's good for you. However, when they saw the black earth, they were stunned. What's going on? Does this kid think that he can escape our pursuit by entering a spirit boat? What an idiot. Humph. It's just a spirit boat. Does he really think it's a safe shelter? Kid, you're too naive. The old man sneered and waved his hand. A thunderous hand grabbed over. The palm contained the power of lightning and directly pierced through the void. It carried an incomparably terrifying aura and enveloped the black earth. Break! The old man shouted coldly. The thunderous palm exerted force, wanting to crush the black earth. Pirates must die. However, in the next moment he was stunned. That was because he realized that the black earth in his hand was incomparably hard and could not be crushed at all. Damn it! It's so hard! The old man was also very surprised. He did not expect the other party's spirit boat to be so strange that it could withstand his power. The other two peerless almighties were stunned as well. What kind of spirit boat is that? It can withstand the power of a supreme being? No wonder this kid is so confident. Kid, I didn't expect you to have such a treasure. I have to say it's really surprising. But do you think you can avoid being hunted like this? I'll let you know the power of a supreme being. The old man sneered. He exerted force in his palm, and the lightning aura in his body surged out. The thunderous palm exploded with an incomparable light, and the world was completely penetrated by lightning. However, in the next moment he was stunned. That was because he realized that the black earth in his hand had not been destroyed. Damn it! How could this be? That's impossible. The supreme being was shocked. What is this thing? How can it be so hard that it doesn't even have crack? Boom! 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 However, at that moment, countless runes appeared on the black earth. They turned into beams of divine light and directly pierced through the thunderous palm. Ah! That peerless almighty exclaimed and loosened his grip. His face was filled with shock and uncertainty. At that moment, a cold voice sounded from the black earth. Next, I'll let you have a taste of death. Buzz! Boom! Following Lin Xian's voice, countless runes flickered on the black earth. Then it turned into a beam of black light and suddenly shot out. Boom! The void in front of him instantly exploded. A beam of black light flew out like lightning and directly enveloped the old man. This attack was so fast that the three supreme beings did not even have time to react. The old man did not even have time to react before he was hit by the black light. Suddenly, a thunderous sound was heard, and countless black holes appeared in the world. When everything disappeared, everyone went crazy. That was because they realized that a huge bloody hole had appeared on the body of the supreme being, the black-robed old man. He had been directly pierced through. Ugh! The old man fell into a pool of blood and struggled for a while. Then his neck tilted and he stopped breathing. What? He was killed. A supreme being was killed. How is that possible? Chapter 2208. What? Killed. A peerless Almighty was actually killed. How was that possible? In the distance, the Almighties who were still resisting the killing formation were all stunned. The other two Almighties were even more shocked. They could not believe that someone could actually kill them. They were both peerless Almighties with terrifying strength, and the other party was just a small king. Could he kill a peerless Almighty with just a spirit boat? What a joke! They had never heard of such a thing. But now, the truth had happened in front of their eyes. They had no choice but to believe it. Damn it, this kid is too strange. Hurry up and leave. The two Almighties were so scared that their hair stood on end, and they did not dare to stay any longer. They turned around and wanted to escape. Crack! Crack! They waved their palms and tore through space, about to enter the black cracks that filled the sky. However, at this moment, the black earth fired two more cannons. Boom! Boom! Two streaks of black light tore through the void and collided, completely enveloping the two Almighties. Boom! This attack was even more terrifying than the previous one. The energy in front of them exploded, and a mushroom cloud rose into the sky. A radius of 50,000 miles was completely enveloped by violent energy. The mountain peak shattered, the ground cracked, and the surrounding King Almighties who were resisting the killing formation were drowned by the aftermath of the energy. Boom! 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 The apocalyptic scene continued for a long time before it gradually subsided. This scene was so terrifying that even 7 Chilean City, which was 20,000 miles away, was affected. The entire Chilean City shook rapidly, and the ground was trembling as if an earthquake had occurred. The countless experts in the city were all shocked. They rose into the air and looked around, bewildered. Damn it, what's going on? Why was there such an earthquake in Chilean City? However, when they saw the shocking explosion in the distance and the aftermath of the energy, they were all stunned. What a terrifying energy! Just who was fighting? This energy surpassed that of ordinary Almighties. It was probably a battle between peerless Almighties. Everyone was shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. Peerless Almighties were extremely terrifying existences. They did not expect to fight here. Moreover, it was so close to Chilean City. Let's go and take a look. Many people rose into the air and flew forward. Of course, they didn't dare to approach. They could only wait for the energy ripples to dissipate before they dared to approach. When the energy shock waves dissipated, they quickly flew to a place of 20,000 li. But when they looked down, they were all stunned. Heavens, what kind of battle is going on here? How could there be so many corpses and blood? The entire ground had been pierced through. This energy was simply too shocking. Many people looked at the cracked ground around them and felt their scalps go numb, because they were unable to create such a terrifying scene of destruction. However, there were a few elders who were even more shocked because they discovered something even more terrifying. What is this? Thunder and Lightning King. He was actually killed. Thunder and Lightning King. Are you talking about that peerless Almighty? This was impossible. Everyone cried out in alarm. An exceptional powerhouse was killed. How could this be? When the densely packed cultivators in the sky heard this news, they were terrified. One had to know that this was a peerless Almighty. Other than the invincible kings, it could be said that this was the most powerful existence on the continent. For such a person, even if he encountered danger, he would have no problem escaping if he couldn't win. But now, a peerless Almighty had fallen. Who was the opponent? Could it be that an invincible king had made a move? If it wasn't an invincible king, then Chilean City would have been long gone. That was another peerless Almighty. What kind of existence could actually kill a peerless Almighty of the same level? Everyone was discussing spiritedly. However, at this time, another 2 exclamations sounded. Pirates must die. What? Pink King and White Sword King. They were actually killed too. Another 2 Peerless Almighty had been killed. Everyone's brains were not enough to comprehend this. Each and every one of them was dumbstruck. Some of the more cowardly ones even turned around and fled. What kind of joke was this? 3 Peerless Almighty were killed together. Who is it? This method was too heaven-defying. Many elders even suspected that an invincible king had secretly made a move. Otherwise, there was no way to explain this matter. Everyone was discussing spiritedly because this news was too shocking. In the crowd, a few people frowned, because these people knew that whether it was Thunder and Lightning King, Pink King, or White Sword King, they were all here to capture Lin Xian. But now they were all killed by someone. All the King Almighty they brought were killed. Not a single one was left alive. Could it be that it was Lin Xian who did it? Impossible. That kid was just a junior king. He didn't have such great strength. These people shook their heads decisively. Then the only explanation was that there was an incomparably terrifying figure behind Lin Xian. Damn it, they were too careless. This kid definitely had a family force behind him or a monstrous background. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to be so powerful at such a young age. Moreover, he even dared to kill the Golden Lion King. These people were shocked. They guessed that Lin Xian's background was probably extraordinary. No, they had to report this to the Crown Prince. At the same time, they had to strengthen the defenses of the 12 main cities. They definitely couldn't let this kid escape using the super teleportation array. Otherwise, it would be difficult to catch him. Many people soared into the sky. Some passed on the news, while others returned to Qilin City to strengthen the defenses. In short, this news swept out like a gust of wind. When the martial artists of Qilin City learned that 3 Peerless Almighty had been killed, they were also stunned. On the other side, in the Tai dynasty's palace, when the crown prince heard the news, he was furious. With a bang, he directly cut the entire palace in half. Damn it! Damn it! He was so angry that he roared crazily because he didn't believe that he hadn't caught that kid yet. Not only that, he had also lost so many of his subordinates. The death of those 3 Peerless Almighties shocked him greatly. What was going on? What was that kid's background? He didn't know. He hadn't found out yet. His subordinates were also trembling. The crown prince snorted coldly. Hurry up and investigate. Also, strengthen the defenses of the 12 main cities. They definitely couldn't let this kid use the super teleportation array. Yes, each of the 12 main cities had at least 20 Peerless Almighties. There was also a city protection array. It could be said that they were impregnable. Unless an invincible king came, no one would be able to use the super teleportation array of the 12 main cities. Hearing this, the crown prince heaved a sigh of relief. With such a lineup, no matter how powerful that kid's background was, he definitely wouldn't be able to escape. Not only the crown prince, but the third prince also frowned when he received the news. Chapter 2209. The first prince heaved a sigh of relief. With such a lineup, even if that kid had a huge background, he wouldn't be able to escape. Not only the first prince, but the third prince also frowned when he received the news. Damn it, that kid is really lucky. Go! Quickly send more people to investigate that kid's whereabouts. Once there's any news, report it to me immediately. Yes. The third prince's side also moved quickly. After the 8th prince received the news, he heaved a sigh of relief. That's great. Brother Lin is fine. The 8th prince was also on tenterhooks these days. After all, most of the forces were trying to capture Lin Xian. He had no confidence at all. What he could do was to try his best to rope in these princes and princes so that they would give up on making a move on Lin Xian. However, when he heard the news today that 3 peerless experts were killed, the 8th prince was still shocked. although there was no direct evidence to prove that it was Lin Xian who did it. But thinking about it, it definitely had something to do with Lin Xian. Regardless of whether it was Lin Xian who did it, or whether there was a terrifying expert behind Lin Xian, it was good news to him. But soon, a piece of news came that made the 8th prince's face sink again. He even started to worry for Lin Xian, because his subordinate reported a piece of news to him. The people of the War Tribe had arrived. The War Tribe was a legendary race that was extremely terrifying. The Golden Lion King was a young 6-star king and already possessed heaven-defying battle strength. Now that the true experts of the War Tribe had arrived, there was no need to mention. Needless to say, the ones who came this time were definitely not of the younger generation. They were powerful figures. Such figures were definitely heaven-defying and terrifying. If they attacked Lin Xian, then Lin Xian would be in danger. Brother Lin, please don't encounter the experts of the War Tribe. The 8th prince prayed in his heart. When the Empress, the 1st prince, the 3rd prince, and the others heard the news, they were overjoyed, especially the 1st prince and the Empress. They personally invited the experts of the War Tribe to the palace. The battle race powerhouse that came this time was a man who looked to be around 30 years old. But his real age was definitely not in his 30s. This was an expert who had lived for nearly 800 years. His cultivation was at the almighty level. However, no one knew his true combat strength. After all, the War Clan was born for battle. It was obvious that their strength far surpassed that of ordinary almighties. Zhang Wuhen stood there with a cold expression. His long and narrow eyes were emotionless. Where was the Golden Lion King's corpse? Zhang Wuhen said coldly. Even though he was facing the Empress and the eldest prince, he did not show any respect. The corpse was in that kid's hands. The 1st prince said, "Humph." Hearing this, Zhang Wuhen snorted coldly. His expression became extremely gloomy. To be honest, he had never thought that the Golden Lion King would be killed by someone. Not even its corpse could be found. When this news reached the war race, the entire war race flew into a rage. They were the War Clan, born for battle. Their strength was terrifying. As for the Golden Lion King, he was the apex genius of their generation. He was their battle race's future hope. But now he was killed by someone. Who was it that dared to kill a genius of the war race? Previously, when the Empress asked the Golden Lion King to attack, they were not worried at all. Because as long as the Golden Lion King revealed his identity as a genius of the war race, even an unparalleled king would not dare to kill him. Because whoever wanted to touch the Golden Lion King would have to consider the consequences of offending the war race. Therefore, even an unparalleled almighty or unparalleled king would not easily offend the war race. But now a junior had actually killed the Golden Lion King. Furthermore, not even his corpse was left behind. This was absolutely daring. Did he not know how to write death? Where was that kid now? Zhang Wuhen asked coldly. Right now, he only wanted to quickly capture that kid and bring him back to the war race to be judged. That kid had appeared in Qilin City before, but now that he thought about it, he should have left. Right at this moment, Great General Xianing spoke as well. He said, "Brother Wuhen, don't worry. We have already sent more people to track down that kid. As long as we have news of him, we will inform you immediately." "Good. This time I will personally take action and capture that kid. I will let him know the consequences of offending the war race." At this point, Zhang Wuhen's body emitted a biting, cold, killing intent. Sensing this killing intent, the expressions of the Crown Prince and General Xianing changed. Even the Empress raised her eyebrows. But in their hearts, they were extremely excited. From the looks of it, this Lin Xian would definitely not be able to survive. On the other side, Lin Xian used the Black Earth to kill 3 almighty almighties and then left. He did not enter Qilin City because he knew that Qilin City was extremely dangerous at this moment. Who knew how many almighties were waiting for him? Even if he had the Black Earth and could destroy almighty almighties, its energy was limited. He could not kill many of them. Every time he used the black earth, it required a large amount of energy. Fortunately, he had killed many powerhouses and obtained many storage rings. Otherwise, he would not have been able to use the black earth. Ruzalong, how much time do you have to recover to the Almighty Realm? Soon, after absorbing the heart of darkness and the primordial demon blood, it will not take long for you to break through. Well, when you break through, let's do something big. Kid, you have a plan. The Crimson Dragon asked. Lin Xian said, Previously, I collected the soul of an almighty and found that these people were all under the command of a person called General Xianing. General Xianing is the Crown Prince's uncle. You want to attack General Xianing? Or do they want to attack the first prince? Ruzalong was a little excited. None of them. General Xianing has a general's residence, and there is a super teleportation formation in his residence. I think, since the 12 main cities are so tightly guarded, why don't we go to the general's residence and borrow the teleportation formation? Good idea. I like it. Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon smiled. Don't worry, kid. Give me another 5 days and I promise to break through. The Crimson Dragon said. He had reached a bottleneck and could break through at any time. He was just looking for an opportunity. Okay. Lin Xian's figure flashed and quickly left. He wanted to find a barren mountain and ancient forest for the Crimson Dragon to break through. Sure enough, 5 days later, the Crimson Dragon roared. The aura in his body suddenly erupted and swept through heaven and earth. Dragon roars resounded throughout the forest. All the surrounding beasts prostrated on the ground and trembled. Even those powerful monster kings knelt down. No matter how powerful these monster kings were, they could not withstand the dragon's might. Roar! 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 The Crimson Dragon's body danced in the air, and with a light wave it tore through the void. That huge aura suppressed the surroundings. He had recovered. Ha! Ben Huang had finally recovered to the Almighty Realm. The Crimson Dragon kept roaring. He was too excited. Chapter 2210. It couldn't be helped. The period of time when his dragon essence was sucked away was really too miserable. Now he had finally recovered to the Almighty Realm. He could also use some of his great abilities. Thinking of this, he roared excitedly. All right, stop roaring, lest you attract other experts. Lin Xian shouted from below. The Crimson Dragon's figure flashed, turned into a red light, and landed. Let's go! Let's go and rob the general's mansion. Ben Huang can't wait anymore. The Crimson Dragon grinned and said, "MMMMM." The little white monkey also jumped out and waved its little paws excitedly. It seemed like it wanted to do something big too. Lin Xian was speechless. What the hell? What do you mean by robbing the general's mansion? We're just going to borrow the super teleportation portal, okay? Don't worry. You borrow the teleportation portal. Little White and I will rob the general's mansion. This Xianying has been commanding his almighties to hunt us down. It's time to make him bleed. By the way, kid, how is the general's mansion? Is it heavily guarded? And Hong was a little worried. The general's mansion is indeed more heavily guarded, but I think it's definitely not as strong as the 12 main cities. Lin Xian said, They definitely won't be able to guess that we're going to the general's mansion. All right, I'll prepare a few killing arrays. They might be useful when the time comes. The Crimson Dragon swung its tail and returned to the black earth. The little white monkey lay on Lin Xian's shoulder, hugging a spiritual fruit. Let's go. Lin Xian took out a map, identified the direction, and left in a flash. This time, he was flying towards the general's mansion. General Xianying's mansion was not in the 12 main cities, nor was it in the imperial city. It was self-contained. The general's mansion was in a mountain range with abundant spirit qi. When Lin Xian arrived, he stood in the void, looked down, and exclaimed. He had to admit that General Xianying's mansion was really bold and generous. Its size was not smaller than Flame City at all. Flame City was a city, and this was just a general's mansion. One could imagine how awe-inspiring General Xianying was. Not only that, there were spirit springs all around, and the spirit energy below was very rich. It was obvious that General Xianying's residence occupied a good spirit vein. Not only was the spiritual energy abundant, but the scenery was also beautiful. There was a waterfall in the distance, a lake beside it, grass, forests, trees, and everything else one could think of. It looked like a paradise on earth. The Crimson Dragon also poked its head out and looked down, drooling. Such a good place. There must be a lot of treasures in the general's residence. He must not be soft-hearted later. He had to rob them properly. Lin Xian nodded, but he didn't go down rashly. Ruse along, there should be a formation around here. Let's destroy the formation first. At that time, he would give them a surprise. Good idea, I like it. The Crimson Dragon's eyes lit up. His body turned into a red flash and disappeared into the mountains below. Lin Xian found a safe place and waited patiently. After about 3 days, the Crimson Dragon returned with a smile on his face. It's done. I've destroyed the defensive formation here, but it's not obvious now. When they activate it, they will realize that it's useless. I've also tampered with their offensive formation. At that time, I'll give them a big surprise. All right, let's get ready. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. He stood up and walked forward. In front of the general's residence, there was a lake. It was very green, and there were many martial artists around the lake. They weren't old. They were about 20 years old, and the younger ones were 15 or 16 years old. At that moment, they were sparring by the lake. It looked like they were from the general's residence. It had to be said that the people from the general's residence were pretty good. Just these young people alone were using powerful mystiques. Each of them shone brightly, illuminating the surroundings. Of course, in front of Lin Xian, this was nothing. Lin Xian walked over with big strides, completely ignoring these people. He was about to enter the general's residence. When the youths by the lake saw this scene, they frowned. Among them, a round-faced young man walked out and shouted coldly, "Who are you?" Lin Xian didn't bother with him, but the little fatty was furious. He waved his arm, and a shining sword slashed out. Boom! A crack appeared on the ground. Boom! Kill the pirate! The ground in front of Lin Xian caved in, and a deep pit appeared. The other young people walked over and stared at Lin Xian. "Kid, who are you? Do you know where you are? This is General Xianying's residence. It's not somewhere you can come and go as you please. Hurry up and crawl out. Kid, kneel down and count out to us 10 times, and we'll let you go. Otherwise, we'll break your legs and feed you to the dogs." Damn, he's so vicious at such a young age. At the side, the Crimson Dragon snorted. These young people looked young, but their words were extremely vicious. They wanted to break someone's legs and feed them to the dogs. Are they human? They're a bunch of demons. Where did these snakes come from? How dare they talk to me like that? Do you know who I am? You lowly trash! How can you be worthy of coming to the general's residence? Get lost. Damn, you're the snake. Your whole family are snakes. The Crimson Dragon was furious and swung its tail. Bam! The little fatty who spoke was slapped in the face. He screamed as he was sent flying. With a plop, he fell into the water, causing countless splashes. What? Attack! How dare you attack? You sent our 6th young master flying. The surrounding people were stunned. Who was this person? How dare he attack in front of the general's residence? Did he not want to live anymore? Kid, you're dead meat. This is our 6th young master. Among them, a young man in his 20s snorted. Kneel down and accept your death. Where's that snake? I'm going to catch it and eat snake soup. Angry roars came one after another. Bang, bang, bang. However, in the next moment, All of them screamed and were sent flying by the dragon's tail. All of them were sent flying and fell into the water. Splash! Splash! The water kept splashing, but there was still no one by the shore. Ah, damn it! Kill him! I must kill him! In the lake, these people kept screaming. Their faces were swollen and their teeth were broken. These were all young masters and young masters who lived like princes. How could they have suffered any injuries? But now they were slapped until their heads were swollen. Their lungs were about to explode from anger. These people gritted their teeth and wanted to risk their lives. They did not know that the Crimson Dragon had already stopped. Otherwise, these people's heads would have exploded long ago. However, these youths did not know that at that moment they were screaming crazily. Where are they? Men, capture the two of them. I must torture them to death. Chapter 22:11. Boom! 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 They were very close to the general's mansion, so the guards who were patrolling in front of the gate were shocked when they saw that. They turned into streaks of light and quickly rushed over. One of the teams went to save the young masters who had fallen into the water, while the other team surrounded Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. They were wearing bronze armor, and their expressions were extremely cold. They had even unsheathed their swords and sabers. They firmly surrounded Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. The other team rescued the young masters. However, their expressions were extremely gloomy. In fact, they could not believe it. At that moment, the faces of the 5 or 6 young masters were completely swollen, as if they were pigs. Who was it that dared to do such a thing? One had to know that these people were all very honorable and respected. Did the man and the snake in front of them really want to die? The guards hurriedly took out spirit pills and elixirs and fed them to the young masters. The young masters were so angry that they gritted their teeth. Kill him! Kill the 2 of them! Yes, the eyes of the 10 guards in the other team were cold. When they heard the words of the young masters, their bodies emitted a biting cold aura. Among them, there was a middle-aged guard who seemed to be the leader. He waved his arm and said coldly, "Kill them." How dare they injure the young masters in front of the general's mansion? If the people inside found out, they would definitely not have a good ending. Therefore, the guards did not hold back at all. The sabers, swords, spears, and divine spears in their hands quickly slashed down. A terrifying light instantly enveloped Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Humph! They were courting death. Seeing the 10 guards attack with all their might, the young masters immediately sneered. They seemed to have already seen Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon being killed. Boom! However, in the next moment, they were stunned, because there was an explosion in front of them, and a terrifying energy instantly exploded. Then, 4 guards were sent flying while vomiting blood. Their eyes were wide open, and the vitality in their bodies had long been extinguished. What? They were all dead. In an instant, 10 guards were killed. The young masters were all stunned. Who were those people? How could they be so terrifying? These guards were all elite kings who had been carefully selected. Every single one of them was extremely terrifying. If all 10 of them attacked together, they would be able to fight against an almighty. But now they were all killed in an instant. They did not dare to imagine. The other team was also on high alert as they stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. As for those youths, their faces were filled with terror as they continuously retreated. Although they were arrogant, they were also afraid of death. However, the round-faced young master from before shouted coldly, "Go, kill him! Kill him for me! Hurry up and send more people!" The other team was led by an old man. His gaze was extremely solemn. Roar! He let out a long whistle to sound the alarm. At the same time, his gaze was like lightning as he looked ahead. Damn it, who are you people? How dare you make a move in the general's residence? Are you tired of living? You're the ones who don't want to live. How dare you say Ben Huang is a snake? You're dead meat today. The crimson dragon sneered and waved its dragon claws. Immediately, dozens of red rays of light flew out and enveloped the front. "You're courting death." Seeing that the other party had attacked again, the old man roared angrily. The 9 guards beside him all drew their swords and sabers and charged forward. Bang! 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 However, how could they fight against the Crimson Dragon? The Crimson Dragon was now a true almighty. His combat strength was extremely terrifying and was not weaker than Lin Xian. Therefore, dealing with 10 guards could be said to be a piece of cake. More than 10 red rays of light were like sharp swords, instantly piercing through the bodies of the 10 guards. Puff! 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 The 10 guards widened their eyes and fell to the ground with unwilling expressions. They could not believe that the person who had attacked was so terrifying and powerful. As for the 5 or 6 youths, they were extremely terrified and began to tremble. "Damn it! How dare you touch me? You're dead meat." Were all young masters of the general's residence. Their faces were filled with fear. Don't kill them, but cripple their cultivation. Lin Xian said coldly, "Hee. I like the feeling of living a life worse than death." The Crimson Dragon stared at those youths. "Is the general's residence that powerful? Your mysterious general dares to send people to kill us? Give him a big gift now." With that, the Crimson Dragon waved its dragon claws and 5 or 6 rays of light flew out. These rays of light blasted into the youths' bodies and destroyed all the spiritual power in their bodies. The youths screamed and kept rolling on the ground. Their faces were filled with fear and despair because they knew that their cultivation had been crippled. Damn it! How dare you cripple me? I'll kill you. I'll definitely ask my father to kill you. Those youths screamed crazily. How dare you scream? Lin Xian snorted coldly and glanced at those youths. Immediately, those young masters' scalps went numb and they did not dare to scream anymore. Their eyes were filled with infinite fear. However, at that moment, more than 10 figures came out of the general's residence. They had rushed over after hearing the long screams outside. When they saw that the guards outside were all lying in pools of blood, they were all stunned. Then they roared, "Who dares to attack us here? Young master! Damn it, let go of our young master!" They roared crazily and charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He raised his arm and suddenly swung it down. Boom! A ray of sword light flew out from his palm and turned into a shocking rainbow that slashed forward. Boom! The ray of sword light directly enveloped more than 10 warriors, causing them to scream. They were all slashed apart by the sword chi. Not only that, the sword light did not weaken. Instead, it became even more resplendent and directly blasted into the general's residence. Boom! The majestic door of the general's residence was directly split open. A deep sword mark split the ground and spread into the general's residence. Boom, boom, boom. Huge rocks rolled down, the void split open, and smoke billowed. The commotion immediately alarmed the entire general's residence. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Rays of light shot into the sky, and roars of anger could be heard. Countless figures gathered in that direction. However, when they saw the shattered door of the general's residence, their expressions changed. All of them were extremely gloomy, and their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Someone actually dared to destroy the door of the general's residence. That made them furious. One had to know that the door of the general's residence was carved with their faces. It was their faces. Now, someone was slapping their faces in public. How could they tolerate that? In an instant, countless gazes were like sharp swords that stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon below. However, their pupils quickly shrank because they realized that there were more than 10 figures lying in pools of blood beside the 2 of them. There were also 5 or 6 youths who were twitching nonstop. What? All the guards were killed. They could not believe it. Chapter 2212. They realized that there were more than 10 figures lying in a pool of blood beside the two of them. There were also 5 or 6 young men twitching nonstop. What? All the guards were killed? They couldn't believe it. When they saw those young men, their scalps went numb. What's going on? That's their young master. He's also lying on the ground? Could it be that he's also killed? When they saw that the young man was still breathing, they heaved a sigh of relief. However, all of their expressions were gloomy. These people actually dared to attack the young master of the general's residence. They really don't know what's good for them. Men, kill him for me. At this moment, an elder shouted coldly. His voice was like thunder, spreading in all directions. Whoosh! In the sky, 4 figures quickly descended. They were like lightning, emitting a terrifying aura. These were 4 peak 6-star kings, and each of them had an aura that was even stronger than that of the previous team. They were like killing gods as they rushed toward Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon quickly. 6-star kings? Hee, they don't know what's good for them. The Crimson Dragon sneered. He opened his mouth and spat out a ball of dragon flames. The terrifying dragon flames instantly surged out and enveloped the 4 6-star kings in front of him. Ah, ah, ah. Screams could be heard. The 4 of them were ignited by the flames, and they were screaming nonstop. Wherever it passed, the void was torn apart. Damn it! Behind them, the elder's expression became extremely gloomy when he saw this scene. Attack! Next to him, another 3 martial artists walked out. They quickly formed hand seals and spat out seawater. Boom! 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 The seawater surged and completely enveloped the 4 6-star kings. They wanted to use the seawater to extinguish the flames. However, these people's expressions became extremely ugly. That was because the flames weren't extinguished at all. Instead, all the seawater near the flames evaporated and burned, forming clouds of white mist that shrouded the surroundings. For a moment, the surroundings were filled with white mist. Even their figures couldn't be seen clearly. As for the 4 6-star kings, they fell to the ground. Their bodies were charred black, and they were no longer breathing. Looking at this scene, the faces of the martial artists in the general's residence were extremely gloomy. That was because they didn't expect their opponent's methods to be so bizarre. That monstrous fire was not afraid of the seawater at all. It was impossible to extinguish it. One had to know that this seawater was no ordinary seawater. It was some kind of great divine ability. This was a type of deep-sea, Xian, water, mystical ability. Once unleashed, ordinary flames were no match for it. Even the most powerful flames would be extinguished. However, not only was their opponent's flame completely fine, but it had also completely refined their deep-sea, profound water. This was truly shocking. Damn it, who the hell are you? The old man asked coldly. He realized that these 2 people were not simple. Perhaps they had some background. However, when Lin Xian heard this, he sneered. What? Only now do you remember to ask about our identities. But it was too late. That's right. We're here to get rid of your general's residence. The Crimson Dragon roared from the side. What? Get rid of our general's residence? Hearing this, the people in the distance were stunned. Then they sneered disdainfully. Brat, I have to say, you guys are really idiots. Do you think you can get rid of the general's residence with just the 2 of you? The 2 of you may have some tricks up your sleeves, but you're too ignorant. Do you know where this place is? General Xian Ying's residence. There are many experts inside, and the formations are exquisite. Even if a peerless mighty figure comes, he will be killed. Do you think the 2 of you can fight against them? Hee, it's just a general's residence. Why are you making it sound so powerful? Those who don't know might think that it's a palace. The Crimson Dragon sneered disdainfully. Show me what you've got. Let's see if you can stop Ben Huang today. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. In front, a figure walked out. It was a middle-aged man with shoulder-length hair and a gloomy face. His eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. Someone actually dares to behave atrociously in front of the general's residence. He's courting death. The murderous intent on his body was soaring to the sky. It directly shattered the void, and a terrifying aura shrouded the surroundings. He could no longer hold it in. He wanted to kill the other party. Mighty figure. Seeing that scene, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, but he still had no intention of making a move. At the side, the Crimson Dragon revealed a disdainful expression. You're just a mighty figure. You don't have the right to be arrogant in front of us. I advise you to hurry up and attack together. Otherwise, you'll die miserably. You're courting death. Hearing that, the middle-aged mighty figure was furious. He could not take it anymore. The other party was too arrogant and did not even take him seriously. He was a mighty figure. The two of them looked extremely strange, but thinking about it, they were definitely not mighty figures. Do you think mighty figures are cabbages? I cultivated for hundreds or thousands of years before I became a mighty figure. In the next moment, he laughed. You're courting death. With a wave of his arm, his green Taoist robe suddenly expanded, especially his sleeves, which turned into a monstrous green river that swept over. Boom! Pirates will die. The void instantly shattered, and a terrifying energy surged in all directions. The resplendent light filled the sky. How dare you behave so atrociously in front of me? The Crimson Dragon sneered disdainfully. He raised a pair of dragon claws and directly clawed at them. He was very bold, and he did not dodge at all. Seeing this scene, the people from the general's residence in the distance sneered disdainfully. A mere snake dares to resist the attack of a mighty figure with his bare hands? Isn't that courting death? However, they were soon stunned, because in front of them, the Crimson Dragon's dragon claws collided with the green energy, and a violent explosion immediately sounded. The void exploded in an instant as terrifying energy blasted out in all directions. However, the green robe was instantly torn apart. Bang! The expression of the middle-aged mighty figure on the other side changed. His robe was directly shattered, revealing a section of his arm. Damn it! How is this possible? The middle-aged mighty figure was extremely shocked. That was not an ordinary sleeve. That attack was called the Heaven and Earth Sleeve. It was a great divine ability that could store mountains and rivers with a raise of one's hand. Legend had it that when cultivated to the extreme, one could store an entire world. Now that he had used such a great divine ability to deal with a mere snake, he did not expect that not only would it not work, but his Heaven and Earth Sleeve would also be destroyed by the other party. This really shocked him to the core. Damn it, impossible, I don't believe it. The middle-aged mighty figure roared angrily, and his body emitted a resplendent light. In the next moment, he stretched out his large hand and grabbed again. Demonic flame hand. When he stretched out his palm, a green light flickered on it, turning into a strange green flame that burned strangely. An incomparably mysterious power burst out. The void that filled the sky was instantly shattered, and a terrifying green light covered the entire space. In an instant, the Crimson Dragon was enveloped. Chapter 2213. The people from the general's residence sneered again. They were also stunned when they saw the universe in the sleeve being broken. They did not expect the other party to be so powerful, but now, when they saw the middle-aged man using the demonic flame hand, they were shocked. They became ferocious again. That was because the demonic flame hand was even more terrifying than the universe in the sleeve, especially the green flames that could burn everything. Playing with fire in front of me? You're courting death. Seeing this, the Crimson Dragon sneered. The Crimson Dragon sneered in disdain because his dragon flames were extremely terrifying. How dare the other party compete with the power of his flames? He was courting death. In the next moment, he opened his mouth and spat out clouds of dragon flames. Boom! Boom! The terrifying dragon flames emitted light and surged forward. The entire void trembled, and the space was ignited in an instant because the power of the dragon flames was too terrifying. Bang! In the next moment, it collided with the demonic flame hand, making a shocking collision sound. A scream was heard, and everyone was stunned. The green light on the demonic flame hand was extinguished in an instant. Not only that, but cracks also began to appear on the dark green palm. Then it exploded with a loud bang. Ah! The middle-aged man screamed and retreated frantically, holding his bleeding arm. His face was extremely ferocious. Horror, extreme horror. He stared at the crimson dragon in front of him and felt his scalp go numb. Damn it! How is this possible? I don't believe it. The people behind were also stunned. How is this possible? That was the demonic flame hand, a great ability that was even more terrifying than the universe in the sleeve. The demonic flame hand could burn everything. In their opinion, they could kill the other party in an instant. But now, the situation was out of their expectations. The terrifying demonic flame hand was shattered by the other party in an instant. They could not believe it at all. On the opposite side, the crimson dragon sneered. I told you, you're courting death by playing with fire in front of me. In the next moment, he waved his dragon claws and grabbed forward. This grab brought with it a domineering and powerful energy. It covered the entire sky and earth as it surged forward, wanting to envelop the middle-aged Almighty. Damn it, they had gone too far. The middle-aged Almighty being roared in anger. The other party had actually underestimated him and dared to treat him like this. He couldn't stand it. In the next moment, he roared, and the inner strength in his body surged out crazily. Demonic flames / extinguish. Countless green flames jumped out of his body and turned into a green flaming saber that slashed down from the sky. Die for me! The flaming saber was incomparably terrifying. It directly shattered the void and crashed onto the dragon claw. Seeing this, the middle-aged mighty figure sneered. He was going to chop off the other party's hand to avenge himself. However, a moment later, he was scared out of his wits. What revenge? He didn't even dare to think about it. This was because his jade green flaming saber had directly broken through the opponent's dragon claw and smashed it into pieces. Not only that, the red claw descended from the sky. With an indomitable aura, it enveloped him. It was as if a red mountain was pressing down on him. No, save me. Unable to hold it in any longer, the middle-aged mighty figure shrieked in terror. This was because he realized that his opponent was too strong. He couldn't withstand this claw attack at all. Therefore, he sent out a cry for help. Behind him, the warriors of the general's residence roared in anger when they saw this scene. They shot out beams of light in an attempt to save the middle-aged mighty figure. Boom, boom, boom. Countless energy blasted onto the dragon claw, but it had no effect. The crimson dragon's red dragon claw was very stable and impregnable. It blocked all the attacks. In the next moment, it mercilessly descended. Boom! With a slap of the claw, the illusory technique shattered and countless cracks spread in all directions. Ah! The middle-aged mighty figure screamed in agony as he was smashed into pieces. His body suddenly exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. What? He was killed. Seeing the scene, everyone was dumbfounded. In the distance, the warriors of the general's residence had ugly expressions, and their eyelids were twitching wildly. They couldn't believe that a mighty figure had been killed with a single slap. What kind of person was this? What kind of energy would be able to do this? Damn it, how could this be? The pupils of the old man leading the group also shrank abruptly. He realized that he had underestimated the other party. Originally, he thought that the two of them couldn't be mighty figures and couldn't block the attack of a mighty figure. But now, it seemed that he was very wrong. The other party's power was far above his. Thinking of this, he didn't dare to act tough anymore. He quickly opened his mouth and spat out a bronze shield, then slammed his palm on it. Clang, 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 clang. Sound waves spread out in all directions. Obviously, this was a kind of alarm. The old man was asking for help from the general's residence. Whoosh! Seeing this scene, the crimson dragon soared into the sky and spat out balls of dragon flames. The terrifying flames surged forward like waves. Run quickly! In front! The people of the general's residence were scared out of their wits when they saw this scene. This flame was something that could even burn a mighty figure to death. How could they resist it? So in the next moment they quickly fled. Puff, 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 puff. But at this moment flaming spears appeared in the flames that filled the sky. They pierced through the void and pierced through all the warriors. Those people were pierced through and nailed to death in the void. Then they were engulfed by the flames and burned to ashes. Screams were heard one after another as the warriors fell in droves. But at this moment, dozens of lights rushed out from the general's residence. Each of them emitted a powerful aura like a god fiend as they soared into the sky. At the same time, angry roars were heard. Damn it, stop it! Boom! A big blue palm slammed down from the sky and extinguished many of the flames. Buzz! A sharp blade light emitted a shocking light and slashed through the dragon flames, splitting the sea of flames in the sky. Boom! A bronze bell fell from the sky like a green mountain. It covered the remaining survivors and blocked the sea of flames. They were saved. The old man who led the group heaved a sigh of relief. He quickly waved the bronze shield in front of him to block the flames. He knew that the mighty figures of the general's residence had arrived. That's right. The ones who came this time were indeed the mighty figures of the general's residence. They were all mighty figures. Other than the ordinary lords, there were also elite mighty figures and even a top mighty figure holding the fort. The arrival of such a group of mighty figures directly crushed the void. Countless cracks appeared in the sky, as it couldn't withstand their aura at all. However, these mighty figures were like killing gods as they stared coldly in front of them. What was going on? Among them, one of the elite mighty figures frowned. The scene in front of him was really terrible. The door of the general's residence had been smashed by someone. Deep pits and cracks appeared on the ground below. The surrounding mountains and trees were completely burned. Even the green lake was evaporated. Corpses were everywhere as blood flowed wildly. In the distance, the few young masters of the general's residence were also knocked to the ground as they twitched and screamed. Damn it, was it the two of them who did it? Chapter 22:14. Damn it, were the two of them the ones who did it? Before the surviving warriors could respond, the faces of these powerful beings darkened and their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Damn it, they deserved to die. These people actually dared to cause trouble in the general's mansion. They deserved to die. They were very strange. Although they did not have a strong aura, they could actually kill powerful beings. Especially that snake, it could spit out a type of flame that was very terrifying. The old man hurriedly told everyone what he knew about the situation so that he could remind them. Could kill powerful beings and had a strange flame? Hearing this, the newly arrived Almighties all frowned. No wonder they had some tricks up their sleeves. But do you think you can behave atrociously in the general's mansion? You really don't know what death is. At this moment, the elite powerful being walked out. He had a cold smile on his face, and his eyes were shining with a terrifying light. Kid, I will let you know the consequences of offending the general's mansion. The elite powerful being emitted a terrifying aura. His body shone brightly, and a terrifying red fist flew over. Boom! Support the original version. Pirates must die. When the fist was thrown out, there was a metallic sound. The terrifying fist was like a meteorite that pierced through the void. This attack was too sharp. It was unstoppable. Nothing could stop it. In an instant, it arrived in front of Lin Xian. Buzz! Looking at this terrifying fist, Lin Xian smiled disdainfully. Then he reached out his palm and grabbed forward. What? He dared to take the elite, powerful being's attack with his bare hands. He was courting death. Was this kid crazy or an idiot? In the distance, the people from the general's mansion sneered when they saw the scene. The surviving warriors also had a ferocious look on their faces. They knew that the Crimson Dragon was powerful, but they had never seen Lin Xian in action. In their opinion, Lin Xian should not be that strong. Now that he dared to take the elite's attack with his bare hands, he would definitely be smashed into pieces. The corner of the elite mighty figure's mouth curled up into a disdainful sneer. No one had ever dared to treat his attack like this, not even a warrior of the same level. The other party was just a kid, but he dared to be so arrogant. He was definitely dead. Boom! The next moment, a low voice sounded. Lin Xian grabbed his opponent's fist with his palm. However, the expected shattering scene did not happen. Lin Xian's palm was incomparably simple and unadorned. There were no cracks at all. He wasn't injured either. However, in the next moment, he exerted force in his palm, and the Elite Supreme being screamed in pain. That was because countless cracks had appeared on his glowing fist and were spreading rapidly. By the end, his entire arm was cracked. Crack! Then Lin Xian exerted force in his palm and tore off the Elite Almighty's hand. Blood flowed wildly, dyeing the sky red. That Elite Supreme Expert screamed crazily. Damn it, this is impossible. I don't believe it. The cultivators in the distance were also stunned, each and every one of them terrified. Heavens, what happened? The arm of an elite mighty figure was torn off by someone else? How did he do it? Was he even human? That Elite Supreme Expert's expression became even more distorted. He didn't expect that his arm would be crippled as soon as he started fighting. This was intolerable. In the next moment, he roared angrily, pulled out an incomparably terrifying spear with his left hand, and quickly stabbed it out. Boom! This attack was like a bolt of lightning, tearing through the void and instantly piercing through the space in front of him. Lin Xian was also pierced through by this spear. When the cultivators behind saw this scene, they all cheered. That's great, we finally killed that kid. However, in the next moment, they were stunned. That was because they discovered that the figure that was pierced turned into a wisp of green smoke and dissipated with the wind. Damn it, it was an afterimage. Many people exclaimed. However, the pupils of the Elite Supreme Expert who attacked constricted. That was because he felt an incomparably terrifying killing intent coming from behind him. Damn it! The Elite Supreme Expert roared angrily, and the spear in his hand swept out, cutting off the entire space. However, it didn't hurt the other party at all. However, at this moment, a palm grabbed his head. Bang! In the next moment, a huge force came from the palm, and the Elite Supreme Expert screamed in pain as blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. Not only that, but his body also fell like a meteor. Then he landed on the ground. Boom! The ground cracked open and countless deep pits appeared. The Elite Supreme Expert's body smashed into the ground. He struggled crazily, causing the cracks around him to become even more terrifying. However, a hand firmly grabbed his head, making it impossible for him to break free. This pair of hands naturally belonged to Lin Xian. He grabbed the Elite Supreme Expert's head, and the corners of his mouth curled into a disdainful smile. Elite Supreme Expert? In my eyes, you're just trash. As he spoke, he exerted force with his palm, and a terrifying force surged out from his palm and poured into the Elite Supreme Expert's body. In an instant, the Elite Supreme Expert's flesh and internal organs were destroyed. Ah! With a bang, the Elite Supreme Expert turned into a snow mist. What? He was killed. Everyone went crazy. They didn't dare to believe it. That was an Elite Supreme Expert. He was killed so easily just like that. This made them feel like they were dreaming. especially those cultivators who had survived before. All of them trembled. Heavens, this young man was even more terrifying. Previously, they already thought that the Crimson Dragon was very terrifying. They didn't expect this handsome young man to be even more terrifying. He killed an elite supreme expert with a raise of his hand. Damn it! Who exactly were they? Could they be a top supreme expert? For a moment, everyone trembled and kept retreating. At the same time, they all looked at a figure in the field. This figure was that top supreme expert. The top supreme expert's face was extremely gloomy. He didn't expect this young man to have such power. To be honest, only a top supreme expert could kill an elite supreme expert in an instant. The other party did it, and it was obvious that he had entered the ranks. However, he found it hard to believe that the other party had reached this realm at such a young age. He didn't know, but now he didn't have time to think about it. He had to attack and kill the other party. Boom! In the next moment, the top supreme expert made his move. His strength was several times stronger than that of an elite supreme expert. Therefore, the moment he appeared, the surrounding void instantly collapsed. Boom! This pinnacle mighty being wielded a long black spear and stabbed out rapidly. Thousands of rays of light shot out in a row, piercing through the void and heading towards Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian's body swayed, and he dodged all the attacks like a flickering shadow. In the sky, black holes appeared one after another, unable to withstand this power at all. So terrifying! The cultivators watching the battle from afar were shocked. As expected of a top supreme expert, his strength definitely surpassed that of an elite supreme expert. Probably no one below the level of a supreme expert could contend against him. Chapter 22:15. As expected of a pinnacle mighty figure, his strength definitely exceeded that of an elite mighty figure. Perhaps no one below the level of a peerless mighty figure could contend against him. Great, that kid can't fight back at all. He can only dodge. It seems like he's no match for a pinnacle mighty figure. That's right, this time when I catch him, I must tear him into pieces. I'll pull out his tendons and skin him alive. I'll make him suffer a fate worse than death. I must let him know the consequences of offending the general's residence. Cold laughter could be heard. In their opinion, this battle was already over. A pinnacle mighty figure could definitely suppress everything. That kid can't escape either. In the sky, the terrifying spear radiance was like a river of stars. It was extremely dazzling as it chased after Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Countless black flames appeared on his body and burned fiercely. He was like a god of fire as he charged forward. Hellfire spread out and surged forward, colliding with the spear radiance. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the next moment, the spear radiance that filled the sky shattered. Those dazzling attacks were all burning. Damn it! How is this possible? The pinnacle mighty figure screamed. His eyes were filled with shock, because he had never thought that a young man could be so terrifying. No wonder those mighty figures were all killed. It seems that his opponent is indeed terrifying. Thinking of this, he did not dare to be careless. He gripped the black spear tightly with both hands, and the aura on his body erupted again. Sea Dragon. With a thrust of the spear, energy surged and roared. On the other side, Lin Xian sneered. He did not waste any more time with his opponent. He directly drew the ancient Dragon Abyss sword and quickly slashed down. Boom! The sound of metal vibrating could be heard. The surrounding void trembled. The spear radiance that filled the sky was cut apart by the sword. Not only that, but countless cracks also appeared on the black spear. Damn it, how is this possible? The pinnacle mighty figure's expression finally changed. His eyes were filled with fear. If the other party was able to contend with him previously, he would be surprised. But now the other party had shattered all his attacks and even shattered his weapon. This was not just a surprise. He did not expect the other party to be so powerful. Damn it, attack together! In the next moment, he roared. He wanted to gather all the mighty figures and attack together. He realized that the young man before him was unimaginably terrifying. However, as soon as his roar was heard, countless sharp sword lights appeared in the sky. Every single one of them was extremely terrifying, and they instantly enveloped him. Damn it! Block it for me! Upon seeing such a terrifying sword beam, the pinnacle mighty figure wanted to flee. Moreover, in addition to the defensive array formation, they also had an extremely terrifying offensive array formation. Now they had to activate the offensive array formation to kill the other party. Buzz! The moment the array formation was activated, the 5 or 6 crippled young masters of the general's residence were also wrapped up by the array formation and sent to the side of the lord safely. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he saw that. However, he did not stop them. In the next moment, he looked at the sky and the mighty figures and sneered. Why, do you think you're safe with the array formation? In my opinion, you still can't escape death. Cut the crap. Die. On the other side, the mighty figures roared angrily as they activated the array formation. The offensive array formation was quickly formed, but it disappeared when it was only halfway formed. The energy in the surroundings retreated like the tide. How could this be? What happened? The mighty figures were all stunned. Why did their offensive array formation disappear? This shouldn't be. These people had blank looks on their faces. Many of them quickly performed hand seals, wanting to activate it again. However, they could not succeed at all. Damn it, what happened? These people were almost stunned, and their faces were extremely dark. However, that was not the most desperate thing. In the next moment, they experienced what true despair was. That was because Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's figures flashed and directly entered the array formation. Damn it! How did you get in? These people screamed crazily, their faces full of horror. That was the black tortoise defensive array formation, which could block all the powerhouses outside. However, the two of them had entered in an instant. How did they break the array formation? The mighty figures swallowed their saliva and looked at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon as if they had seen demons. They were extremely terrified. In the next moment, their scalps went numb, and they turned around to flee. Chapter 22:16. What a joke! The other party had already ignored the black tortoise defense formation. With the other party's combat strength, it would be very easy for him to kill them. Run! These people screamed and ran in all directions. More people fled into the depths of the general's mansion. That was because their true powerhouses were there. You want to run? Lin Xian sneered. The demon-slaying sword formation quickly formed under his feet, and streaks of blood-red sword chi soared into the sky. Boom! Boom! Uft! Some of the stronger powerhouses were sent flying by the sword chi, and they vomited large mouthfuls of blood. As for the weaker ones, they were directly pierced by the sword chi. Blood splattered in the air, dyeing the general's mansion red. Damn it! At this moment, an extremely angry voice was heard. It directly shattered the void and blocked all the sword chi. This voice was too terrifying. It was several times more terrifying than the previous top powerhouses. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian was stunned. The kings of the general's mansion were all ecstatic. A peerless powerhouse. A peerless powerhouse is here. We're saved. These people cheered wildly. That's right, it was indeed a peerless powerhouse. That terrifying aura crushed the 9 heavens. A figure descended from the sky like an immortal king, suppressing a part of the world. As soon as he appeared, he slapped out a large palm and sent all the blood red sword chi flying. Immediately, the the sky became clear again. A peerless powerhouse. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He did not attack again. Instead, he stood in the void and looked ahead. The person in front looked to be in his 30s. His face was gloomy and his gaze was solemn. His body emitted a terrifying aura as if he had merged with the entire world. This aura made one's heart tremble. Indeed, it was a peerless powerhouse. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon also had solemn expressions. A peerless powerhouse had surpassed the top powerhouses and had entered the realm of an 8-star king. It could be said to be extremely terrifying. An 8-star king could become a peerless powerhouse. However, if one were to break it down, there were 4 small stages in the 8-star king realm. Early stage, mid-stage, late stage, and peak stage. The peerless powerhouse in front of them was at the early stage of an 8-star. However, this was also very terrifying. He could suppress a top powerhouse with a raise of his hand. Are you two the ones causing trouble in the general's mansion? Killed many martial artists from the general's mansion? The peerless Almighty said coldly as he stared coldly at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. That's right, it was us. The Crimson Dragon sneered. What? You think you can scare us just because you're a peerless Almighty? Let me tell you, it's not that simple. Today, everyone make way for me. We are going to take over the general's residence. Hearing these arrogant words, everyone's eyelids twitched violently. That peerless Almighty's face also turned gloomy, and an extremely cold killing intent erupted from his eyes. The surrounding temperature dropped sharply, and everyone swallowed their saliva. They knew that a storm was coming. Daring to behave atrociously in front of a peerless Almighty was definitely courting death. As expected, the peerless Almighty was enraged. He said coldly, "You really don't know what's good for you. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." As he spoke, he waved his sleeve, and a terrifying purple flame gushed out, instantly enveloping half of the sky. The terrifying temperature burned fiercely, and it charged toward Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. The flame's aura was terrifying, and this energy made Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon frown. As expected of a peerless Almighty, he was indeed terrifying. Although he was shocked, he was not afraid. Lin Xian let out a long roar. Coincidentally, I've just made a breakthrough, and I haven't fought with a true peerless Almighty yet. Today, I'll use you as an offering to my sword. As he spoke, he pulled out the ancient Dragon Abyss sword with a clang. With a slash of the sword, a biting cold sword radiance tore through heaven and earth and slashed forward. What? He's going to attack a peerless Almighty? This brat is crazy. Everyone looked at this scene with their mouths agape, and they couldn't believe it. That was a peerless Almighty, a true expert who could suppress a top-notch Almighty with a raise of his hand. It was extremely terrifying. This brat in front of them actually dared to attack such an existence. Humph, he's courting death. Just wait, he'll be killed soon. Of course. No one dared to provoke a peerless Almighty. He's overestimating himself. Cold laughter could be heard. Those people from the general's residence didn't believe that Lin Xian could contend with a peerless Almighty. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon was floating in the sky. He squinted his eyes and said in a low voice, "A bunch of idiots, what do you know? You'll definitely be shocked to the point where your jaws drop." Indeed, as soon as he finished speaking, a series of exclamations could be heard from the general's residence. That was because in the sky, the biting cold sword radiance tore through the purple flames, forming a vacuum. What? The flames were torn apart? That's impossible. That was an attack from a peerless Almighty. How could he possibly contend against it? Those people from the general's residence went crazy. This was completely different from what they knew. That peerless Almighty was also stunned. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to tear apart his purple flames. But soon his face turned gloomy and monstrous killing intent appeared in his eyes. A terrifying aura burst out from his body, and swept across heaven and earth. Boom! The purple flames in the sky surged and turned into terrifying killing intent that surged in the sky, trying to destroy Lin Xian. Not only that, countless purple flames gathered in the sky, forming mysterious runes that carried monstrous killing intent as they flickered in the sky. That was a terrifying superpower. Coupled with the power of the purple flames, it could definitely kill everything. He didn't believe that Lin Xian could contend against it. He could tell that Lin Xian was a young genius, but so what? No matter how talented he was too young. His foundation was too weak. There was no way Lin Xian could contend against an expert who had lived for thousands of years. But this time, the peerless Almighty was wrong. That was because he didn't know that although Lin Xian was young, the trump cards in his hands were extremely terrifying. Any one of them would be able to shock the world. Buzz. Indeed, when he saw the mysterious purple runes flickering in the sky, Lin Xian's expression turned solemn. However, he didn't move. He stopped moving, and his body released a terrifying sword aura. Chaotic Heaven, Destroyer Sword. He swung the Dragon Source Ancient Sword, and a terrifying chaotic sword aura surged out, crossing the sky. Every ray was extremely sharp. Boom! 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 Once the sword radiance appeared, heaven and earth lost its color. The martial artists in the general's residence were also terrified. Boom! 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 In the sky, the purple flame runes flickered, colliding with the sword aura in the sky. Each time, they would be pierced through. However, those purple runes weren't ordinary superpowers. The monstrous energy was also from the Lotus Chaotic Sword aura. The two of them clashed in the sky, and they were evenly matched. A draw. How was that possible? Was that kid also a peerless Almighty? Everyone went crazy. What had they just seen? A young kid was actually fighting a peerless Almighty who had lived for thousands of years to a draw? Heavens, if this were to spread, it would definitely shock the world. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.